Chapter 3674. P.S. Update complete. Zhou Huang looked over. What's wrong, Zhao Dave? Isn't it better to ask him to leave now? Elder Zhou, before he leaves, I want to take a look at this herb garden to make sure he didn't tamper with it. Tamper with what? Zhou Huang waved his hand impatiently. You little brat, your imagination runs wild. Who would dare to tamper with a herb garden? He must be tired of living. Chu Li looked at Cui Da's already pale face turned even paler. He quickly said, Zhao Dave, you can't blame me for what happened to you. I didn't hurt you. You were the one who accidentally crippled senior brother Qin's martial arts. Every debt has a debtor, so don't blame me. Oh. Zhou Huang's small round eyes sized the two up. So there was a connection between them. This was interesting. Chu Li said, Senior brother Cui, why are you in such a hurry? I didn't say anything else. You're obviously trying to frame me. Cui De yelled. I swear to God, although I'm not good at growing spirit medicine, I've been conscientious and never slacking off. I've kept this spirit medicine nursery in order. Chu Li shook his head. Everything is in order. Is this what you mean by in order? He pointed at the spirit medicine nursery. Look at the grass you've plowed. Half of it is not that you're not smart, but you're absent-minded. You don't put any thought into it and put all your heart into evil practices. Cui De scoffed. I'm very attentive. Chu Li shook his head. You're up to no good. You knew I would come to the spirit medicine nursery, so you tampered with it and left me with a mess. He had already discovered from Cui Da's mind that Cui Da had been instructed to do so. The fact that Qin Huaichuan was able to predict that he would take over Cui Da's position meant that he had taken everyone into consideration. He had calculated the punishment that he would receive, the fact that Su Jingyao would not go to the cafeteria, and that Cui Da would eventually leave the spirit medicine nursery and enter the cafeteria. Nonsense, I didn't do anything. Cui Da cried out in panic. Zhou Huang frowned. What did you do? Chu Li said, Elder Zhou, let Cui Da stay and let Cui Er go. No. Cui Da shouted. Chu Li grinned. Why not? You two brothers are inseparable. What's the difference between him leaving and you leaving? What's more, you're the big brother. If there's a good thing, of course you'll leave it to your little brother. No. Cui Da shook his head. At this moment, Zhou Huang realized that something was wrong no matter how stupid he was. He finally began to believe Chu Li and frowned. Cui Da, what are you doing? At first, he did not believe Chu Li's words. He felt that Cui Da would not be so muddle-headed and would not have such guts. Chu Li pointed at the spirit medicine. Elder Zhou, if I'm not mistaken, these spirit medicines must have been tampered with. Once I take over, I won't be able to harvest even 50 golden glowgrass, let alone 500. Zhou Huang's expression darkened. He looked at Cui Da. Cui Da, is that so? No, don't listen to his nonsense. He's slandering me. Cui Da hurriedly waved his hand. Elder Zhou, I wouldn't dare. Whether I dare or not, Elder Zhou will know once you take a look. Chu Li said lightly, pull it out and take a look. It will be clear at a glance. You? Cui Da glared at him angrily. Zhou Huang opened the railing and went in to pull out a spirit medicine. There was only half of its root left. It was obvious that someone had secretly uprooted it. Golden glowgrass was a delicate spirit medicine. It was difficult to survive normally, let alone with such a serious injury. It was equivalent to losing half of its vitality. It would definitely die. Seeing this golden glowgrass, Cui Da's face turned even paler. Zhou Huang bent down and pulled out 5 golden glowgrass in one go. He saw that their root system had been destroyed and none of them had escaped. He took a few steps forward and pulled out another 5 golden glowgrass from the side. These golden glowgrass were not spared. When he looked up at Cui Da, his face was so gloomy that it could drip water. His round and small eyes shot out a cold glint as he stared at Chueda. He regarded the spirit medicine nursery as his children and his life. Every time a spirit medicine nursery died, his heart would ache for a long time. However, Chueda had purposely used a hoe to kill all the golden glow grass in the spirit medicine nursery. It was as if a huge piece of his heart had been gouged out. Elder Zhou, Chueda stammered. Guards! Zhou Huang shouted. 2 middle-aged men glided over and gave a fist salute. Take him down! Zhou Huang pointed at Chueda and glared at him with gritted teeth. Take him to the torture chamber. Tell them that he deliberately destroyed the spirit medicine nursery with ulterior motive. The torture chamber will punish him severely. Yes. The 2 middle-aged men gave a fist salute and walked in front of Chueda. Chueda fell to his knees and hurriedly cried, Elder Zhou, I was wrong, I was wrong. Elder Zhou, please spare me this time. Since this is my first offense, please spare me this time. If he was sent to the torture chamber for this crime, his martial arts would be crippled, and he would be expelled from the Great Light Peak. Zhou Huang gritted his teeth and said fiercely, I'll spare you, but what about these dead golden glow grass? Who spared them? Elder Zhou, for the sake of my parents, please spare me this time. Chueda looked miserable and begged pitifully. He was almost in tears. If I'm expelled from the Great Light Peak, how can I face them again? You're not fit to mention your parents. God is blind to have raised you. Zhou Huang shouted fiercely. No, I can't spare you. Elder Zhou, if I'm expelled from the Great Light Peak, my parents will beat me to death. Chueda hurriedly said. Zhou Huang hesitated and shook his head. You've committed a heinous crime. You must be punished severely. Chu Li coughed lightly and gave a fist salute. Elder Zhou, I have something to say. Hurry up and say it. Zhou Huang said impatiently. Don't worry, I'll definitely seek justice for you and punish this fellow severely. Chu Li shook his head. I want to plead with Elder Zhou. Zhou Huang was stunned. He looked at Chu Li in disbelief. If Zhao Dai had not been quick-witted, he would not have been able to turn the tables. Yet, he wanted to plead on Chu Li's behalf. This was not something an ordinary person would do. Chu Li said, I want to plead on his behalf. He was instigated by someone else and did such a thing because he was blinded by greed. Young people should be given a chance to correct their mistakes. You can't destroy the golden glow grass even if you're blinded by greed. Zhou Huang scoffed. Chu Li said, I can save these golden glow grass. You can save them? Zhou Huang was stunned. Then, his eyes widened. You talk big, but you have to be responsible for your words. Can you really save them? Even if I can't save them all, I can save most of them. Chu Li nodded. How do you do it? A secret technique. Chu Li shook his head. I can't teach it to outsiders. All right. Zhou Huang patted his shoulder. If you can really save them, then forgive him. Chu Li nodded and smiled. We'll see tomorrow morning. All right, I'll detain Chueda here for now. If the golden glow grass doesn't die tomorrow, I'll spare his life. Zhou Huang scoffed and glared at Chueda, who was kneeling on the ground. Hurry up and get up. Look at how shameful you are. Thank you, Elder Zhou. Chueda hurriedly said. Chapter 3675. Zhou Huang waved his hand. The 2 middle-aged men retreated and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Chueda let out a long sigh of relief. Zhou Huang said, Zhao Dai, it's all up to you now. Chu Li fist saluted. I'll try my best. Zhou Huang waved his hand. His round body disappeared in the blink of an eye. Only Chu Li and Chueda were left in the spirit medicine nursery. Chueda looked at Chu Li coldly. Chu Li said, You didn't expect to end up like this, did you? Chueda glared at him. Isn't it all because of you? You did this because you were tricked by Qin Huaichuan. Chu Li looked him up and down. But I'm curious. Didn't you expect this to happen? Humph. Chueda scoffed. He did not expect this because he thought his plan was flawless. Who would have thought he would have the guts to do it? Moreover, his hoe was very precise. It was hard to tell from his appearance. The golden glowgrass was a spirit herb. Every single one of them was very precious. No rookie dared to pull one out to take a look. If they realized that there was a problem with one, they would not dare to pull a few more. 500 might seem like a lot, but there were only 550 of them planted. Sometimes there would be less than 500, just one or two of the crucial ones. Chu Li asked, "What did Qin Huichuan promise you?" Cui De curled his lip. "Zhao Dave, you don't deserve to be a disciple of Great Light Peak." Chu Li asked curiously, "Why?" "Because you're ugly. No disciple of Great Light Peak is ugly." Chu Li laughed. "Just because of that? What do you think?" Cui De scoffed. "If you know what's good for you, leave Great Light Peak. Don't embarrass yourself here. Otherwise, there'll be more powerful tricks waiting for you." "Looks like I begged for mercy on your behalf." "Yes, I'll still deal with you even if I begged for mercy on my behalf. If that's the case, forget it." Chu Li shook his head. "You'll be sent to the torture chamber tomorrow." The torture chamber won't do anything to me because of my parents." Cui De scoffed. Chu Li shook his head and laughed. "The torture chamber won't do anything to you. Why did you kneel and beg just now?" "None of your business." Cui De flew into a rage out of humiliation. Thinking back to how he had knelt on the ground and begged for mercy, his face flushed. He must have been possessed. With his parents around, no matter how much Old Man Zhou scolded him, he wouldn't do anything to him. It must have been a thunderstorm. After all, Old Man Zhou had a good relationship with his parents, so he wouldn't really punish him. However, he was too scared at that time and did not think about this. In the end, he let Chu Li watch the drama unfold. The more he thought about it, the more he hated Chu Li. Chu Li entered the house. There were only 2 rooms in the house. One was for the farming tools of the spirit medicine nursery, and the other was for the bedroom. There was a bed, a desk, and a chair. Other than a few spirit grass scriptures on the desk, there was nothing else. It was extremely simple. At that moment, Cui De had already packed his belongings and looked like he was about to leave. It was obvious that he trusted Qin Huichuan's deduction. Chu Li crossed his legs and sat on the bed. Cui De came in and scoffed, "Zhao, move aside. You're not the owner of this house yet." Chu Li opened his eyes and glanced at him. He said lazily, "Come and hit me then." "You." Cui De glared at him angrily. However, he knew that he was no match for Chu Li and he could not make a move. He scoffed, "Let's see how long you can be arrogant. You're no match for senior brother Qin. He's crippled of his martial arts. Why do you still listen to him?" Chu Li asked. "Senior brother Qin is a genius. Even if his martial arts is crippled, he can cultivate it back very quickly." Cui De scoffed and looked at him from the corner of his eyes. "Zhao, don't think that you're that powerful. You're no match for senior brother Qin." "What martial arts is he cultivating?" Chu Li asked. "I don't think it's the Great Light Scripture?" Cui De said proudly, "It's okay to tell you. Senior brother Qin is a genius. He's successfully cultivated the Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture." Chu Li frowned. "The Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture? You've never heard of it, have you?" Cui De said in disdain. "You're just a country bumpkin from the outside. You don't know what the Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture is. It's a waste of time to tell you." "Then tell me," Chu Li said nonchalantly. "How powerful is the Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture?" "The Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture can reverse life and death. I'm not afraid of my martial arts being crippled. Every time I'm crippled, I'll become stronger." Cui De said proudly. Chu Li laughed. "Then I don't have to cultivate it. I can just cripple it. I'll cripple it every time I cultivate it." "Of course it can't be too much," Cui De said impatiently. "You're really stupid. Chu Li knew from Cui Da's mind that the Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture could reverse life and death when cultivated to the highest level. Unfortunately, the Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture was too difficult to cultivate. Almost no one could cross the threshold and cultivate it to perfection. Qin Huichuan's level of the Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture was still shallow. Even so, its power was shocking. After his martial arts was crippled, he could recover quickly and become stronger than before. However, at his current level, he could only cripple his martial arts 3 times. Any more and it would be irreversible. Qin Huichuan only needed half a month to recover his martial art. Chu Li frowned. He did not expect Qin Huichuan to cultivate such a strange technique. His status must be extraordinary. It was no wonder Xia Shui sent him to the spirit medicine nursery. She knew it would be difficult to investigate. Such a genius was probably not inferior to him. He might even be valued more. Chu Li said, "So what if it's the Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture? Is it better than the Great Light Scripture?" "It's not inferior to the Great Light Scripture." Cui Da scoffed. "Anyway, you're no match for senior brother Qin. Alright, get lost." Chu Li waved his hand. Cui Da glared at him and turned to sit outside the house. He sat in the spirit medicine nursery to recover from his injuries. The next morning, Zhou Huang strode over. Chu Li was standing in the middle of the spirit medicine nursery. Cui Da's face was pale as he looked around blankly. Zhou Huang did not look at the golden glow grass around him. He gritted his teeth and glared at Chu Li. "B*****, can't you save the golden glow grass?" He grabbed Chu Li's collar and yelled, "Is this your way of saving them?" There was not a single living golden glow grass in the entire spirit medicine nursery. All of them were dead. It was empty and spacious. Chu Li shook his head and sighed. "I didn't expect my method to be useless." "What method did you use?" Zhou Huang yelled. Chu Li said, "Chanting scriptures." "What?" Zhou Huang cried out. Chu Li said, "I realized that chanting scriptures can make plants flourish and full of vitality. I didn't expect it to be ineffective. It seems that spirit herbs are different from ordinary plants. Maybe I wasn't sincere enough." **T, chanting scriptures can make spirit herbs flourish. Where did your **T experience come from?" Zhou Huang was furious. He lowered his head to look at the dead grass in the nursery. None of the golden glow grass was alive. Chu Li sighed. "Elder Zhou, it's my fault." Zhou Huang stomped his feet. He wanted to cry but no tears came out. My life. Chu Li said, "Elder Zhou, I'll try to be more sincere. I'll make the spirit herbs flourish." **T. Zhou Huang jumped and yelled. "Stop chanting scriptures." Chapter 3676. P.S. The remaining ones will come later. Everyone's reaction isn't good. I'll have to think about it again. Cui Da's face was pale and he looked lost. He had uprooted some golden glow grass but not all of them. That way it would be obvious that it was his fault. He only uprooted a small portion, which was enough to prevent Chu Li from reaching 500. He would then be a burden and unable to leave the spirit medicine nursery until he was expelled from the Great Light Peak. However, not a single golden glow grass was left. All of them were dead. Initially, he only had 1% of the blame. Now it was 10%. He had a bad feeling. If he had been taken back to the torture chamber yesterday, someone might have pleaded for him. Coupled with his parents' help and compensation for the loss of the spirit medicine nursery, he would have been spared from a heavy punishment and could still stay in the Great Light Peak. However, all the golden glow grass in the nursery were dead. It was as if he had uprooted all of them. That was different. Moreover, the loss of 500 golden glow grass could not be compensated with money. Why was that? Why were they all dead? He had been sitting outside the house last night and did not see Zhao Dai come out. Therefore, he was not the culprit. What was going on? He could not understand why all of them died when he only uprooted some. Zhou Huang turned to glare at Chueda and gritted his teeth. Chueda, even if your parents were here today, it would be useless. You scum. Chueda said, Elder Zhou, I didn't uproot that many golden glowgrass. You didn't? Did I do it? Zhou Huang yelled. Chueda quickly said, Someone must have framed me. Fine, I framed you, didn't I? Zhou Huang yelled. I killed the golden glowgrass myself, didn't I? He moved his head closer to Chueda, almost touching his face as he roared. Who else could it be? Chuli said, I didn't leave the house last night. You should know that, Chueda scoffed. It must be you. It must be you. Chuli frowned. Chueda pointed at him and yelled, You must be unhappy that my punishment was too light, so you secretly destroyed all the golden glowgrass. It must be you. Did I leave the house? Chuli asked impatiently. Yes. Chueda nodded vigorously. Not just once, but for a long time. I saw it with my own eyes. Chuli shook his head in resignation. Zhou Huang turned to glare at Chuli. Zhao Dai, what do you have to say for yourself? Elder Zhou, I've been chanting the entire night. Chuli smiled bitterly. But only Chueda saw it. Even if I told him, no one would believe me. If he wants to frame me, there's nothing I can do. There's a way. Zhou Huang glared at Chueda coldly. Chueda, tell me one more time, did he leave the house last night? Of course I did, Chueda hurriedly replied. Seriously? Zhou Huang shook his head and said, I really don't know how your parents raised you. He clapped his hands and said, Come out. 2 azure-clothed girls fluttered over and cupped their fists. Elder Zhou, take him away. I don't want to see him again. Zhou Huang waved his hand without looking at Chueda. Chueda quickly said, Elder Zhou, I'm innocent. Both of them were watching you in the dark last night. Zhou Huang glared at Chueda in disgust. That's why they saw what happened in the house. That bastard Zhao Dai didn't even come out to look at the golden glowgrass. He was chanting the scriptures in the house. Chanting the scriptures. His last few words were spoken through gritted teeth. Initially, he had high hopes for Chuli to save the golden glowgrass. That was why he hid in the corner to see how Chuli managed to cure the golden glowgrass and secretly learn from him. That was why he personally watched Chuli for the entire night. In the end, Chuli sat on the bed and chanted the scriptures. He did not do anything at all. He was filled with anger. When he saw that all the golden glowgrass in the nursery had died, he was furious and wanted to give Chuli a few tight slaps. However, no matter how much of a bastard Zhao Dai was, he was not the murderer. The murderer was Chueda. Yet, Chueda lied through his teeth and tried to frame Chuli. He could not be bothered to argue with such a scheming person. He could only say that Elder Chui did not teach his son well to raise such a bastard. Chueda was like a deflated balloon. The 2 young ladies in green said, Chueda, not only did you deliberately destroy the spirit grass, but you also maliciously framed a fellow disciple. We will report the truth to our superiors. Please leave. Chueda quickly said, I want to speak to my parents. The 2 seniors are already waiting in the torture chamber. The 2 young ladies in green said, You'll see them when you get there. Follow us. Chueda's spirits lifted and he glared at Chuli. Chuli said impatiently, You're still in the right. Just you wait, I will not let you go. Chueda said fiercely. Chuli laughed. You're about to leave the Great Light Peak. Why won't you let me go? What a joke. Chueda sneered. Do you really think you can kick me out of the Great Light Peak? How naive. What a joke. He turned around and walked away arrogantly. The 2 young ladies in green led the way. Chuli turned around and asked, Elder Zhou, can he really avoid punishment? No. Zhou Huang said coldly. This time, even if he had to fall out with Elder Chui, he would punish Chueda severely. Otherwise, anyone could destroy the spirit grass and bully the spirit medicine nursery. Chu Li let out a sigh of relief. That's good. If he can avoid punishment after destroying so many spirit grass, I'll be disappointed in the torture chamber. Zhou Huang glared at him. You be **starred, plow the land today and plant the golden glow grass tomorrow. If you can't harvest 500 of them, I'll teach you a lesson. Chu Li quickly said, Elder Zhou, don't worry. I'll plant the golden glow grass well and make it grow faster and more prosperous. Don't mention chanting scriptures again. Zhou Huang roared. Chu Li was unconvinced. Chanting scriptures is really effective. Scram! Zhou Huang roared. Chu Li shook his head and gave a fist salute. He went to the house to get some tools and began to plow the spirit soil. Zhou Huang left in a rage. He wanted to slap Chu Li half to death. Chu Li looked at the withered golden glow grass and sighed to himself. He had used the life and death scripture. Once the withering energy arrived, even the strongest spirit grass could not survive, let alone the delicate golden glow grass. He originally wanted to save the golden glow grass, but unfortunately, he met Chueda, who was incorrigible and ruined his efforts. Initially, he had planned to subdue Chueda and cut off Qin Huaichuan's wings. However, he did not expect Chueda to be so stubborn and extremely loyal to Qin Huaichuan. More importantly, he was adamant that an ugly person could not stay in the Great Light Peak and become an inner mountain disciple. Chueda's belief was strange but firm. No matter how powerful Chu Li was, he could not change Chueda's belief. Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture. Chu Li frowned and pondered. It was a pity that he did not stay in the Sutra Library and did not have the chance to find out what martial art this was. Qin Huaichuan was a strong opponent. He had to think of a way to deal with him. He had suffered a great loss this time. Fortunately, he came to the Spirit Medicine Nursery at the right time and wanted to explore the Holy Church of Light's heritage. Chapter 36-77. After thinking for a while, he skipped breakfast and started working. He used a hoe to turn over the spirit soil. It was not difficult to turn over 2 acres of spirit soil. He took his time and finished in half the morning. Then, he went to Elder Zhou to collect some seeds and started planting the golden glow grass. He took a bucket of spring water from the depths of the valley and watered it carefully. By the time he was done, it was already noon. It was easy to plant the golden glow grass. It was written clearly in the spirit herb scripture on the table in the house. However, the golden glow grass was delicate. It was easy to plant but difficult to take care of it. Sometimes it depended on luck and diligence. Once the grass appeared, it had to be removed immediately. The golden glow grass was most afraid of weeds. Once the weeds grew, the golden glow grass would die prematurely. Therefore, it was necessary to guard the spirit medicine nursery at all times and constantly check the spirit soil to watch out for the emergence of weeds. Sometimes, if one was unlucky, the weeds would break through the soil when they were sleeping at night. When they woke up in the morning, it would be a disaster. This was a piece of cake for Chu Li. The omniscient mirror could clearly see the ground and the weeds would be discovered the moment they sprouted. Moreover, he had the life and death scripture. He did not even need a hoe. He could use the life and death scripture to manipulate spiritual energy to destroy the weeds and prevent them from growing. His life and death scripture could be activated very quickly. Moreover, with the help of the Glory's will tree, he could harvest the golden glow grass once a month instead of once every 6 months. At noon, he stretched and got up to go to the Flavorful Tower. The Flavorful Tower was bustling as usual. When Chu Li arrived at the first floor, he immediately saw Mo Tsue, Sun Lihua, and Song Donglin. They were sitting at the table eating and chatting happily. Chu Li shook his head and sighed. Song Donglin was sitting opposite Sun Lihua. When he looked up and saw Chu Li, he quickly greeted him. Junior brother Zhao. Chu nodded and quickly brought a few dishes and 2 steamed buns to his side. He then sat opposite Emo Tsuetsue. Sun Lihua looked at him from head to toe and let out a sigh of relief. Fortunately, junior brother Zhao was able to stay. Song Donglin said, "We heard that junior brother Zhao entered the spirit medicine nursery?" Chu Li nodded. Emo Tsuetsue curled her lips and said, "I can't believe they didn't expel you from the Great Light Peak. Why did the torture chamber suddenly go easy on you?" Logically speaking, he should have been expelled from the Great Light Peak. Chu Li said, "I've disappointed senior sister Emo, haven't I? Humph, you might be able to escape this time, but you won't be able to escape next time." Emo Tsuetsue pursed her red lips and said, "I advise you to leave the mountain as soon as possible so that you won't be tortured again." Chu Li scoffed. "I don't believe that altar leader Mo can do whatever he wants. There's no justice in Great Light Peak. Even if there's justice, it's not something a person like you can enjoy." Emo Tsuetsue said disdainfully. "What abilities do you have? Haven't you suffered enough this time?" Chu Li said coldly, "If you piss me off, I'll just cripple you, senior sister Emo. At most, we'll perish together." "You!" Emo Tsuetsue was taken aback. She snorted and pursed her lips without saying another word. Sun Lihua said, "Junior brother Zhao, junior sister Emo is just saying. Altar leader Emo won't go overboard." Chu Li scoffed. "If I wasn't smart this time, I would have been killed." He told them about Chui Da's matter, and the 3 of them were dumbstruck. They felt as if their souls had been shaken. They felt that if they were in Chui Da's shoes, they would definitely be tricked. Chui Da's move was too vicious. If he was trapped in the spirit medicine nursery, they would be bitterly disappointed. "It's not my father's doing," Emo Tsuetsue quickly said. Chu Li scoffed. "It's senior brother Qin's doing. What a good move. One trick after another, he's trying to kill me." "Senior brother Qin." Sun Lihua shook her head. Song Donglin's expression was solemn. "Senior brother Qin is indeed smarter than others. You have to be careful." "What kind of martial art is the Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture?" Chu Li frowned. "Is it powerful? Is it in the Sutra Library?" Song Donglin shook his head. "The Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture isn't a martial art of the Holy Church of Light. I heard that it's a unique martial art of the Fu Dynasty's Reincarnation Temple. Junior brother Qin obtained the inheritance by chance." "How powerful is it?" "The Fu Dynasty is the strongest among the 5 countries. The Reincarnation Temple is similar to the Holy Church of Light. As for their martial art, it shouldn't be inferior to our Great Light Scripture," Song Donglin said. Chu Li nodded slowly. Song Donglin said, "Junior brother Qin may seem gentle, but he's extremely domineering. Once you become his enemy, he'll use all means to suppress you until you yield. If you ask me, I think you should yield to him first." Yield?" Chu Li sneered. Song Donglin looked at him and knew that there was no way to persuade him. At that moment, he saw Qin Huichuan strolling into the building with a tall and burly young man beside him. It was Qin Huichuan's good friend, Meng Luo. Chu Li looked up and his face darkened. Qin Huichuan smiled when he saw Chu Li and slowly walked toward him. "Junior brother Zhao, you didn't receive any heavy punishment, did you?" Qin Huichuan asked with a smile, looking kind and concerned. Chu Li sneered. "Qin, you dared to cripple your own martial art and frame me just because you have the Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture. What a good move." "What are you talking about, junior brother Zhao?" Qin Huichuan looked surprised and smiled. "It seems that junior brother Zhao has misunderstood. But I have the Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture, so crippling my martial art is no big deal. I can recover within a month. I'm really sorry that junior brother Zhao was punished. If you want to be my enemy, do it openly. I despise you for using such despicable tricks." Chu Li sneered. "You don't have the spirit of a man at all." "Hee hee." Qin Huaichuan shook his head and smiled. Junior brother Zhao, you've really misunderstood. Is it also a misunderstanding that you instructed Cui De to frame me? Chu Li said impatiently. You used him as a pawn and made him tamper with the golden glow grass before he left. Not only did you harm me, but you also harmed him. Junior brother Zhao, you've wronged me. There's no such thing. Qin Huaichuan shook his head. It seems that junior brother Zhao has a deep misunderstanding of me and thinks too badly of me. To me, crippling my martial art is really no big deal, so I don't hate you. Get lost, I don't want to see you. Chu Li waved his hand impatiently and said, I can't be bothered to talk to a hypocrite like you. Qin Huaichuan's expression did not change as he shook his head and sighed. The tall and strong young man next to him looked gloomy and said angrily, Zhao, don't be so shameless. Senior brother Qin is magnanimous and didn't hold it against you for crippling his martial art, but you're getting angry. Chu Li looked up and sized him up. Who are you? Meng Luo. Get lost. Chu Li said calmly. Meng Luo rushed toward Chu Li. Qin Huaichuan reached out to stop him. Don't do anything rash. Junior brother Meng, help me bring the dishes over. Meng Luo glared at Chu Li and turned to leave. He quickly brought over 2 trays with 4 dishes and a soup on them. Qin Huaichuan took one of the trays and smiled. Let's find a place to eat. Junior sister Sun, junior sister Mo, and junior brother Song, goodbye. Chapter 36-78. Qin Huaichuan's expression immediately darkened as he glared at him coldly. Chu Li smiled. Senior brother Qin, you don't mind, do you? It's just a steamed bun, not my saliva, it's not dirty. As Qin Huaichuan stared at Chu Li's hand, his expression darkened. In Qin Huaichuan's eyes, Chu Li's skin was tanned. Qin Huaichuan wondered if he had ever washed his hands. Chu Li said proudly, Oh, I was planting spirit herbs in the spirit medicine nursery this morning, so I didn't have time to wash my hands. But the spirit medicine nursery isn't dirty, so you don't have to worry about it, senior brother Qin. Just eat it, it's not poisonous. Zhao, what's the meaning of this? Meng Luo roared. Chu Li grinned and said, Originally, I wanted to throw it into my mouth. Who knew that my hand would slip and fall into senior brother Qin's dish? Senior brother Qin, you won't mind, right? You're deliberately looking for trouble, aren't you? When Meng Luo saw Qin Huaichuan pressing his hand down with a dark expression on his face, he knew that Qin Huaichuan wanted to keep this a secret, so he lowered his voice. Chu Li nodded. I'm looking for trouble. Zhao, don't think that I can't do anything to you. Meng Luo snorted. Chu Li said, It's just framing and framing. You guys have plenty of ways to do that, so what? You. Meng Luo narrowed his eyes. Don't look for trouble. Chu Li laughed out loud. Why are you looking for trouble? Come on. Gather? Benyu pneumonitis. Also saying the horizon is narrow and the song bowing in front of the tube is illuminated in the abundance, you don't have that kind of ability. Meng Luo sneered. Chu Li said, I'm challenging the light blade. Do you dare to accept the challenge? Humph. Meng Luo sneered and turned to Qin Huaichuan. Senior brother Qin, I'll get you another plate. Let's go. Qin Huaichuan's handsome face darkened as he glanced at Chu Li. It looks like junior brother Zhao is going to go against me until the very end. Chu Li yelled, Who do you think you are? How dare I oppose you to the end? How arrogant! So what if I oppose you to the end? Loser, scram. He had a look of disdain on his face. You're just asking for humiliation. You're always up to little tricks, crafty plots, and sneaky tricks. You're just a lowly person. You really think you're some big shot. You're really arrogant. Qin Huaichuan's handsome face darkened even further. Song Donglin cheered inwardly but pretended to be deaf and mute. Emote Saitsui scolded, Zhao Dai, you're being too presumptuous. I'm being presumptuous? Chu Li turned his head and glared at her. He said coldly, You're a dignified altar leader, yet you don't have the slightest bit of magnanimity. You just had to argue with me, a disciple who had just joined the sect, and even set me up. What kind of bullsh** T altar leader is this? You're just a vile person. Zhao Dai. Emote Suetsue sprang to her feet. How dare you scold my father? So what if I scold him? Chu Li said loudly in disdain. As an altar leader, he can do whatever he wants and frame a nobody like me. Can't I scold him, and even kneel down to thank him for setting me up? Emote Suetsue shouted, You! Chu Li yelled, If you piss me off, I'll request an audience with the saint and confront him face to face. Let's see if he can hide from the saint. Emote Suetsue pointed at him with a stern expression. The saint could see through people's hearts. No matter what kind of secret they had, it could not escape the saint's eyes. If Zhao Dai really did that and dragged his father into the mire, the saint would not let him off easily. Chu Li pointed at Qin Huaichuan and yelled, And you, Qin Huaichuan, you think you're unparalleled just because you're clever and crafty. You're secretly delighted and narcissistic. What a joke. Do you have the guts to confront me in front of the saint and say that you didn't frame me? Why not? Qin Huaichuan said calmly. Chu Li said, Fine. He took out a white jade tag from his inner pocket and raised it. This jade tag was personally given to me by the saint after I performed a meritorious deed. I can use this to request an audience with the saint. Qin Huaichuan, do you dare to confront me in front of the saint? Qin Huaichuan stared into his eyes as if trying to discern whether he was telling the truth or not. Chu Li sneered. You don't dare. Do you think you can fool the saint with your petty tricks? Qin Huaichuan scoffed. What a joke. Chu Li pursed his lips. All right then, I'll request an audience with the saint. We'll confront each other face to face and settle the score with Chueda. He stood up and walked out after he finished speaking. Wait, Qin Huaichuan said. Chu Li turned to glare at him and sneered. Qin Huaichuan, what do you have to say? Qin Huaichuan took a deep breath and shook his head. There's no need to trouble the saint over such a small matter. The saint is busy every day and shouldn't be disturbed. He could tell from Chu Li's expression that he was not faking it. It seemed that he had met his match this time. Who would have thought that an outer peak disciple like him would have this jade tag and be so valued by the saint? Chu Li laughed. You don't dare? You're feeling guilty. Qin Huaichuan said, It's better to squash enmity than keep it alive. I think it's better for us to bury the hatchet and mind our own business from now on. Chu Li sneered. You're really interesting. I fell from the sutra library to the spirit medicine nursery because of you. Should I just let it go and admit it? Who do you think you are? All right then, what do you want? Qin Huaichuan scoffed. I'll compensate you. Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture. Chu Li scoffed. Impossible. Qin Huaichuan scoffed. Chu Li turned to walk out. Wait. Qin Huaichuan hurriedly said. Chu Li turned to look at him. Qin Huaichuan frowned. Change your condition. Change your condition. Bring me back to the sutra library. Chu Li sneered. Qin Huaichuan shook his head. I'm not that capable. Even if they were to frame him, they had done it through precise deduction and planning. It was done flawlessly and even the torture chamber could not find out the truth. However, this was the Great Light Peak with strict rules. No one could do whatever they wanted. This was already the limit and it was impossible to change the torture chamber's decision at will. The torture chamber did not seem to be investigating. This made him anxious and all his plans fell through. Chu Li scoffed. It can only be the Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture. Change your condition. Qin Huaichuan scoffed. Chu Li turned to leave. Wait. Qin Huaichuan yelled. Meng Luo gritted his teeth when he saw Qin Huaichuan being forced into such a state. He wanted to slap Chu Li to death. Chu Li scoffed. A wise man submits to circumstances. Do you think you have a choice? All right. Qin Huaichuan nodded slowly. If that's the case, I'll teach you the Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture. Don't you dare play tricks. Chu Li scoffed. I'll forget about this if you teach me the Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture. Otherwise, we'll settle old and new scores together. Not only you, but Alter Leader Mo won't be able to escape too. No problem, I'll teach you the scripture. Qin Huaichuan scoffed. Chu Li asked when. Now, Qin Huaichuan said. Let's go to the martial arts field. All right. Chu Li nodded. Mo Tsuetsue was shocked. Senior brother Qin, are you really going to teach him the Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture? Qin Huaichuan said, since he wants it, why not teach it to him? He won't make a difference. But, Mo Tsuetsue hesitated. Chapter 3679. P.S. After updating, I'm trying my best to think about it. I can't make it to 6 chapters, please forgive me. Chu Li knew from Mo Tsuetsue's mind that many of Qin Huaichuan's friends had tried to cultivate the Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture, but none of them succeeded. If the Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture was so easy to cultivate, it would not have become the Reincarnation Temple's ultimate technique. Therefore, although his request seemed excessive, it was within Qin Huaichuan's comfort zone. He looked down on Chu Li, thinking that he could not cultivate the Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture, so he agreed without hesitation. All right. Mo Tsuetsue glared at Chu Li. Zhao, so what if you've obtained the Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture? You can't cultivate it. What a joke. Chu Li said coldly, Senior Sister Mo, I'll remember the grudge between me and Alter Leader Mo. If you ever provoke me again, I'll report it to the Saint and let her decide. Let's see if he can hide it from the Saint. Mo Tsuetsue's heart trembled, but she only scoffed to show her disdain. Chu Li turned around and said, Let's go. He strode out. Qin Huaichuan put down his tray, and Meng Luo did the same. Song Donglin sat there without moving. He did not want Qin Huaichuan to fly into a rage out of humiliation and vent his anger on him. Chu Li dared to treat Qin Huaichuan this way, but Song Donglin did not. Qin Huaichuan was very resourceful and popular. He had accumulated a lot of connections just by imparting the Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture, so it would be troublesome for him to deal with Song Donglin. Sun Lihua looked at him, then at Mo Tsuetsue and said softly, I'll go and see junior brother Zhao. Why would you? Mo Tsuetsue said angrily, Senior sister Sun, you're too kind. He's not like us, just ignore him. He's from the same sect, Sun Lihua said. And he's from the Sutra Library. He's no longer from the Sutra Library. Mo Tsuetsue scoffed. Sun Lihua shook her head. Junior brother Zhao is quite pitiful. He's an outer peak disciple, but he's being ostracized by the inner peak disciples. I'll go and take a look. Senior brother Song, junior sister Mo, you guys eat first. Forget it, I'll go with you. Let's see what other tricks he has up his sleeves and whether or not he'll be killed by senior brother Qin. Mo Tsuetsue scoffed. She turned around and glared at Song Donglin. Senior brother Song, don't follow us, lest senior brother Qin takes his anger out on us. We're women, so it's fine. Sure. Song Donglin nodded and accepted the invitation. When Sun Lihua and Mo Tsuetsue arrived at the martial arts field, they saw that Chu Li and Qin Huaichuan were already sitting cross-legged on the cattail hassocks on the martial arts field. Sun Lihua and Mo Tsuetsue's situation was not what they had expected. Logically speaking, since Qin Huaichuan was the one imparting the technique to Chu Li, Qin Huaichuan should be the one pointing his finger at Chu Li's forehead. However, what they saw was exactly the opposite. Chu Li's thumb was pressed against Qin Huaichuan's forehead. It was as if Chu Li was transferring his energy to Qin Huaichuan. It was truly a strange sight. After a while, Chu Li slowly put down his thumb and formed a strange mudra with both hands. Then, he stopped moving. Qin Huaichuan opened his eyes with a complicated expression on his face. When Zhao Dai's thumb pressed against his forehead, Qin Huaichuan could not help but circulate the Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture without his control. It was as if he had become Zhao Dai's puppet. Zhao Dai must have some kind of miraculous technique. He had underestimated him. Chu Li remained motionless as he formed a mudra with both hands. Emo Tsuetsue approached him and curled her lip. He's just putting on an act. It's as if he can really cross the threshold. Qin Huaichuan shook his head. It was impossible for Zhao Dai to cross the threshold of the Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture because it was too difficult to cultivate. It required both comprehension and opportunity. Qin Huaichuan was only able to cross the threshold because of a fortuitous encounter. He was in a strange state. If it was not for a coincidence, he would not have been able to cross the threshold. Sun Lihua frowned at Chu Li. Junior sister Mo, junior brother Zhao might really be able to do it. Don't forget that junior brother Zhao has successfully cultivated the light blade. The light blade is completely different from this. Emo Tsuetsue scoffed. Qin Huaichuan fist saluted. Junior sister Sun, junior sister Mo, I'll take my leave first. I'll have to trouble you to look after junior brother Zhao. We're starving, so we're going to eat. Leave it to us. Emo Tsuetsue waved her hand. Qin Huaichuan strode away. Meng Luo glared at Chu Li before leaving as well. Time passed slowly. Chu Li had been meditating from noon to evening. His breathing was long and slow, and his breathing was 5 to 6 times longer than a normal person's. Emo Tsuetsue's confidence was shaken. She dared not say that he had not crossed the threshold after such a long period of meditation. When the sun was setting, Chu Li slowly opened his eyes and calmly looked at Sun Lihua and Emo Tsuetsue. Junior brother Zhao, how was it? Sun Lihua asked. Chu Li nodded slowly. The Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture is indeed powerful. Have you really crossed the threshold? Emo Tsuetsue asked. Chu Li extended his palm toward Emo Tsuetsue. Emo Tsuetsue instinctively blocked it. When their palms collided, a dense inner energy surged toward her. It was exquisite and sharp like a sword stabbing toward her. She quickly channeled to block it, but there was nothing in front of her. Chu Li's palm seemed to have disappeared, but it was still there as it collided with her right palm. She felt empty and uncomfortable. As soon as she withdrew her inner energy, it suddenly appeared again. Bang! She staggered 2 steps backward and stared at Chu Li in shock. Chu Li smiled. This is the reincarnation technique. Illusion and reality coexist. Emo Tsuetsue glared at him. You've only just crossed the threshold. You're still far from senior brother Qin. Chu Li said, I'm cultivating both the Great Light Scripture and the Great Light Scripture. He can't. Emo Tsuetsue pouted. Do you think you're powerful just because you're cultivating both? If you're cultivating both, you'll be wasting your energy. As long as you cultivate either the Great Light Scripture or the Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture, you'll be able to stand firm in the Holy Church of Light. But you're cultivating both. What a joke. Let's wait and see then. Chu Li smiled nonchalantly. He patted the dust off his clothes and gave a fist salute. Senior sister Sun, thank you. Let's go eat first, Sun Lihua said. Chu Li shook his head. I'm not hungry yet. I'm going back to cultivate. All right. Sun Lihua nodded. She knew that this was a crucial time. They had to consolidate their cultivation without delay. Chu Li gave a fist salute and glided away. Emo Tsuetsue gritted her teeth and scoffed. How despicable! When Chu Li left, he did not even look at her, which made her furious. Sun Lihua smiled. He's in a hurry to go back to cultivate. Let's go back. Such a bad guy. How could he cultivate the Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture? There's no justice in this world. Emo Tsuetsue gritted her teeth. Why can't we cultivate it? Maybe it's because we're women, Sun Lihua said. Think about it. This is the reincarnation temple's unique technique. There are only monks in the reincarnation temple. There are no nuns here. Maybe it's meant for men. No wonder. Emote Suetsue sighed in relief. Senior Sister Sun, you're right. Sun Lihua smiled. Chapter 3680. Chuli sat cross-legged on his bed in his room. There was a Buddha and a heavenly demon sitting in the void of his mind, back to back. There was a round mirror between them that was engraved with strange symbols. It was the concentration talisman. He was able to meditate because of the concentration talisman, so he would not lose his mind due to lack of energy. This Buddha had 3 faces that harmonized with one Buddha body. Each of them was chanting their respective scriptures. The scriptures were in the form of lotuses, and the lotuses formed by the earth matrix and reincarnation scripture were read. Cultivating 3 scriptures at the same time was more efficient and faster than cultivating 2 scriptures at the same time. Chuli was overjoyed. He had just started cultivating the earth matrix and reincarnation scripture, so he had to slowly explore some of its mysteries. Since it could be combined with Mahavairokkana's immobility scripture and the Great Light scripture, its power was incomparable to ordinary martial arts. He had the life and death scripture, so he had a deep understanding of the reversal of life and death. Therefore, as soon as he cultivated the earth matrix and reincarnation scripture, he immediately understood it and started cultivating it. This was also a coincidence. Without cultivating the life and death scripture, and having such a deep understanding of life and death, one would never be able to cultivate the earth matrix and reincarnation scripture. The disciples of the Holy Church of Light had almost no hope of cultivating it. The earth matrix and reincarnation scripture that Chuli had glimpsed was only the conversion of illusion and reality, and the reversal of yin and yang. It was a very shallow way of using inner energy and did not involve the power of heaven and earth. If he could cultivate it to perfection, he could directly reverse life and death, the extremity of yin and yang. He was cultivating in the room when he heard footsteps outside. Zhou Huang's round body appeared in the spirit medicine nursery. He stared at the spirit medicine nursery carefully and was extremely worried. He had completely lost trust in Chuli and claimed that he was good at planting. In the end, not only did he fail to cure those golden glow grass, but there was not a single one left. Although the result would be the same if he did it himself and the golden glow grass would definitely die after being uprooted, he did not boast that much. Zhao Dave, on the other hand, patted his chest and said that he could save them. He hated boastful people. Chuli released the hand seal and went to the spirit medicine nursery. He fist saluted. Elder Zhou. Zhou Huang did not give him a friendly look. He glared at him and said, "What are you doing in the house all day long? Don't you know that you have to watch the golden glow grass all the time? You have to be as attentive as you are to a newborn baby. The moment you see any weeds, you have to uproot them immediately." Chuli said, "Elder Zhou, don't worry. I know what I'm doing." "Don't worry my A**s." Zhou Huang shouted angrily. "You know nothing." Chuli said helplessly, "I really know what I'm doing. Elder Zhou, don't worry. I'll definitely raise them to be strong and healthy. None of them will die." "You still dare to say such big words?" Zhou Huang's small and round eyes widened. "Even I wouldn't dare to say that. How can you raise the golden glow grass without breaking a single stalk? Are you kidding me?" Chuli said, "It's true, I'm confident." "Confidence my ass." Zhou Huang glared at him and shouted, "Take good care of them and don't slack off. If you can't get 500 of them, I'll teach you a lesson." Chuli said, "Elder Zhou, not only can I not break a single one, but I can also make them mature in advance." Zhou Huang's eyes widened. Chuli said, "My chanting has the effect of accelerating the ripening of the plant. When I used to plant flowers, Other people would take 2 months to bloom, but with my chanting, they'll bloom in a month. Stop talking about chanting scriptures, Zhou Huang yelled. Chu Li looked at him helplessly. Elder Zhou, don't be so hot-tempered. I'm telling the truth. Chanting. Chanting. Zhou Huang yelled angrily. I've never heard of chanting scriptures being able to accelerate the ripening of spirit herbs. Do you think I'm stupid and easy to fool? I'm not fooling you. Chu Li sighed helplessly. I can really make them mature in advance. Zhou Huang became even more furious when he saw how confident and unconvinced Chu Li was. He shouted, Do you dare to make a bet with me? Chu Li asked, What bet? If they can really mature in advance, all of these golden glow grass will be yours, Zhou Huang said. Chu Li's eyes lit up. Really? The golden glow grass looked inconspicuous. It was not a precious medicinal herb, but it was the most important supplementary medicine. Almost all pills required it, and it was the most indispensable ingredient. 500 golden glow grass could be exchanged for a lot of pills. Not all of the spirit medicine nursery's jobs were shortcomings. The 5 main positions of the new disciples were the welfare of the new disciples. All of them had benefits, but the methods of obtaining benefits were different. Some required hard work, while others could be obtained in leisure. The disciples of the spirit medicine nursery could exchange spirit herbs with the herbalist hall. Pills could only be exchanged with spirit herbs or spirit pills. Silver and other things could not be exchanged. The disciples of the other halls had no chance of obtaining spirit pills. Only the disciples of the spirit medicine nursery had a chance. However, to obtain spirit herbs, a lot of hard work, luck, and talent were required. Nonsense, why would I lie to you? I've always been a man of my words, Zhou Huang scoffed. Chu Li pondered. Can 500 golden glow grass be exchanged for a miracle cure pill? Miracle cure pill? Zhou Huang chuckled. Chu Li quickly asked, How many miracle cure pills can I exchange for? Ha ha. Zhou Huang laughed. Chu Li was baffled. Elder Zhou, can't I exchange it for a miracle cure pill? You're so optimistic. Zhou Huang laughed. Who told you that I can exchange it for a miracle cure pill? Chu Li asked. Isn't the miracle cure pill a spirit pill of the Holy Church of Light? Can't I exchange it for it? Young man, you're dreaming. Zhou Huang laughed. If you have the miracle cure pill, won't the punishment of crippling your martial arts in the Church's rules be useless? Do you think the Holy Church of Light will let you take advantage of this loophole? Chu Li frowned. Elder Zhou, are you saying that I can't exchange it for a miracle cure pill? Humph, only the bishop and the saint have the miracle cure pill. The others don't have it, Zhou Huang said impatiently. What about the altar leader and the others? No, Zhou Huang scoffed. Not even the priest, let alone the altar leader. I see. Chu Li suddenly understood. Young man, you should think more realistically. You should exchange it for some medicine or spirit pills to replenish inner energy. Zhou Huang curled his lips. It's normal for someone like you to get beaten up. Chu Li scoffed. These golden glow grass are mine. Humph, if you lose, I'll punish you with 1,000 golden glow grass. Zhou Huang chuckled. Chu Li shook his head. 500 or I won't do it. All right, 500 it is. Zhou Huang scoffed. 500 is enough for you to work for half your life. Who told you to talk big again? I have one more condition. Elder Zhou, you can't disturb me anymore. Chu Li scoffed. You can't stop me from chanting scriptures. Fine, I don't care if you're digging your own grave. Zhou Huang gritted his teeth. I'd like to see if you can mature the golden glow grass by chanting scriptures. Chu Li smiled confidently. Elder Zhou, wait for my good news. Chapter 3681. Thus, Chu Li sat on the cattail hassock in front of the house and began chanting. He was chanting the Avatamsaka scripture, which was long and complicated. Not everyone could finish chanting it in one breath. The chanting was so soft that even martial arts masters could hear it if they listened carefully. Although Zhou Huang had left, he did not want to see the golden glow grass being ruined. However, he was still worried. When he heard Chu Li's chanting, he suddenly felt his heart calm down. He's got some skills. Zhou Huang was surprised. He did not expect Chu Li to be so good at chanting that it could calm people down. He had met many senior monks and seen them chanting. They were all virtuous people who could calm people down as soon as they were uttered. Could his chanting really work? He was looking forward to it when he thought about this. He had always believed that spirit herbs had their own sentience, and weren't as heartless as people thought they were. Since Zhao Dai's Buddhist scripture could calm people down, spirit herbs must be able to do the same. It might have a miraculous effect. If it could really make spirit herbs mature faster, it would be a great achievement. After chanting for 2 hours, Chu Li returned to the house to continue cultivating. The next morning, he went to the flavorful tower and saw Sun Lihua and the others. Song Donglin waved his hand in greeting. Chu Li waved his hand and sat down at their table with a tray of food. Emote Tsue gave him a sidelong glance but did not greet him. Sun Lihua smiled politely. Junior brother Zhao, can you really cultivate the earth matrix and reincarnation scripture? I've mastered it. Chu Li smiled and pouted at Emote Tsue. If your father messes around again, I'll go see the saint and see what happens to him. Don't be so smug. Emote Tsue scoffed. You'll be doomed sooner or later. All right, I'll wait and see how unlucky I am. Chu Li scoffed proudly. You must think that you're so smart to set me up, but you didn't expect me to have a trump card waiting for you. Ha ha. Ha ha. He laughed proudly. Emote Tsue's expression darkened. Chu Li laughed even louder and more smug. Sun Lihua and Song Donglin looked at each other and shook their heads helplessly. They were also very surprised. They did not expect that Zhao Dai, who seemed to be simple-minded and not scheming, would actually have such a powerful technique. He had a trump card up his sleeve, but he did not unleash it until the other party set him up so that he would have something to use against him. With that, he had completely captured Qin Huaichuan and Mo Tsue. Just by cultivating the Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture, he would be able to earn a lot from the Sutra Depository to the Spirit Medicine Nursery. The Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture was superior to all the martial arts in the Sutra Depository. Staying in the Sutra Depository would not allow one to learn such a supreme art. Although Qin Huaichuan had imparted the Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture to others as if it was not that precious, the Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture was actually the Fu Dynasty's Reincarnation Temple's most precious technique. They secretly suspected that the reason why no one could master the Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture had something to do with Qin Huaichuan. They were afraid that he had hidden something when he was imparting his skills to them, which was why no one could master it. The technique that Zhao Dai imparted yesterday was not imparted to him by Qin Huaichuan. He had obtained the complete inheritance from Qin Huaichuan, which was why he was able to master it. All the disciples of the Great Light Peak were extremely talented and were definitely not inferior to the disciples of the Reincarnation Temple. If the disciples of the Reincarnation Temple were able to master it, how could they not? If Zhao Dai had not caught Qin Huaichuan's weakness, Qin Huaichuan would not have agreed to let him take the initiative to obtain the inheritance, thus obtaining the complete inheritance and mastering the Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture. Come to think of it, this junior brother Zhao was really wise under the guise of stupidity. His methods were truly powerful. Beneath his crude appearance, it was impossible to guard against him. He had plotted against Qin Huaichuan and the others. Emote Tsue lowered her head and picked up a piece of beef. She chewed it fiercely as if it was Chu Li. She wanted to stab him to death with her chopsticks. Chu Li suddenly raised his head and called out, "Senior brother Qin. Qin Huaichuan and Meng Luo were walking into the flavorful tower. When they heard his call, they turned around and walked out. Chu Li shouted, "Senior brother Qin Huaichuan, don't go!" His voice drowned out all the other sounds in the flavorful tower. When everyone heard him, they turned to look at him. When they saw him waving in the direction of the door, they turned to look at Qin Huaichuan. They all knew that Qin Huaichuan had used some tricks to send Zhao Daif to the spirit medicine nursery. However, they did not expect the two to get along so well. They even addressed each other so intimately. Could it be that they had forgotten about each other after meeting each other? Under everyone's gaze, Chu Li smiled and said, "Senior brother Qin, are you avoiding me?" "No." Qin Huaichuan smiled and shook his head. "I'm already full. I'm about to leave." "Haha, you haven't even eaten when you just came in and you're already full." Chu Li chuckled. "Don't tell me you're full just by smelling the food. That'll save me a lot of trouble." Qin Huaichuan shook his head and smiled bitterly. He slowly walked over to Chu Li. Meng Luo kept glaring at him. Chu Li put down his chopsticks and gave a fist salute. "Senior brother Qin, thank you so much." Qin Huaichuan smiled. "We're from the same faction. There's no need to thank me." Chu Li shook his head. "If it weren't for your generosity, I wouldn't have been able to learn the Earth Matrix and reincarnation scripture. However, this scripture is very mysterious. I only know how to cultivate it, but I don't know how to use it. I still need to learn from you, Senior brother Qin. I'm sure you'll be generous with your guidance." Qin Huaichuan laughed. "I only know a little. I only obtained it through a fortuitous encounter. I'm still figuring it out on my own. So, Senior brother Qin doesn't want to give me any guidance." Chu Li narrowed his eyes and took out a white jade tag from his inner pocket. He gently touched it. Qin Huaichuan's expression froze for a moment before he smiled again. "I can't really give you any guidance. We can learn from each other." Chu Li chuckled and kept the jade tag. "That's great. Senior brother Qin, you're a sensible person. I'm very impressed." "Zhao, don't go too far." Meng Luo scoffed. When he saw Senior brother Qin being controlled and threatened by Zhao Daif, he was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. Chu Li narrowed his eyes and looked at Meng Luo. He shook his head. "You have to be careful when you're with Senior brother Qin. Chueda is one of the consequences. Where is he now? How is he being punished by the torture chamber?" Qin Huaichuan sighed. Junior brother Chui's martial arts was crippled and he was expelled from the Great Light Peak. Chu Li chuckled. "Good job. I heard that Chui Da's parents are elders in the church. They'll definitely seek revenge on me." "Senior brother Qin, you're playing into their hands, aren't you? You're so familiar with killing with a borrowed knife. I'm impressed." Qin Huaichuan's expression remained the same as he shook his head. "I didn't expect junior brother Chui to be so extreme. I'm sure he's regretting it. It's not worth it to end up like this just because of a moment of anger. Senior brother Qin, you're so righteous." Chu Li gave him a thumbs up. "Senior brother Qin, let's go." Meng Luo scoffed. Qin Huaichuan nodded and smiled. "Junior brother Zhao, I'm the one who's impressed. Good move." Chu Li waved his hand and laughed proudly. "I was supposed to deal with altar leader Mo, but I didn't expect you to bump into me. I can only say that you're unlucky, haha." Qin Huaichuan smiled without changing his expression. He gave a fist salute and turned to leave. Meng Luo gritted his teeth and glared at him. Then, he followed Qin Huaichuan and left. Chapter 3682. Qin Huaichuan's expression remained unchanged as he slowly took the tray and began to choose the dishes. His other hand was clenched so tightly in his sleeve that it had turned blue. He almost wanted to cripple Chu Li even if his martial arts would be crippled and he would be kicked out of the Great Light Peak. However, his remaining rationality stopped him from doing so. The sky was high and the days were long. He would just have to get back at Chu Li in the future. No one could always win. Losing one battle was not a big deal. He had learned his lesson and had to improve his techniques. Meng Luo looked at the calm Qin Huichuan worriedly and whispered, "Senior brother Qin, let me do it. I'll perish together with him." Qin Huichuan frowned at him. "Perish together? It's not worth it." "But this kid is too arrogant," Meng Luo said angrily. "He won't let us off easily once he has something on us. Today, it's the Earth Matrix and reincarnation scripture. Who knows what he'll be doing tomorrow? Let's avoid him for now." Qin Huichuan scoffed. "He's so arrogant. I don't believe he won't do something wrong. Find an opportunity and kill him." "All right." Meng Luo nodded slowly. "We'll let this kid be arrogant for a few days. Let's see how long he can stay arrogant for." Qin Huichuan smiled. Sun Lihua frowned at the smug Chu Li. "Junior brother Zhao, be careful of senior brother Qin. Don't offend him too much. He's already an enemy. How can I not be ruthless?" Chu Li scoffed. "Don't worry, senior sister Sunday. He's a coward now. He won't dare to act recklessly. I'll punish him however I want." Emo Tsuetsue scoffed. Chu Li smiled at Emo Tsuetsue. "Senior sister Emo, if I report to the saint that altar leader Emo plotted to harm a new disciple like me, what will happen to him? Will he be demoted from an altar leader to a branch leader? Or will he be demoted to a normal follower?" My father didn't do it himself," Emo Tsuetsue said disdainfully. "Go ahead and report him. You have to be reasonable." He asked again, "Senior sister son, who are Chui De and Chui Er's parents?" "They're masters of the fourth peak." Sun Lihua said, "They are all experts in the art of the sword. Their sword of great radiance has reached a high level of mastery. These past few years they have contributed a lot to the Holy Church." Chu Li asked, "Will they seek revenge on me?" "Probably not." Sun Lihua shook her head. "They are all highly principled and reasonable people. Chui De was the one who violated the sex rules. No one forced him to do so. He ignored the sex rules and ended up like this. He can't blame you." "I don't think so." Song Donglin shook his head. "No matter how reasonable you are, you can't be fair when it comes to a child's matter. Junior brother Zhao, you better be careful." Chu Li nodded. Crack! A bolt of lightning lit up the entire flavorful building. Chu Li was shocked. "Is it going to rain?" "The weather at Great Light Peak can change at will," Song Donglin said with a smile. "It'll be fine once you get used to it. I guess there'll be a storm soon." Rumble! The earth shook and the mountains shook. Thunder boomed as if it was the end of the world. The entire flavorful tower seemed to be shaking, as if it was about to collapse. Song Donglin and the others remained calm, completely unaffected. Chu Li asked, "Is this going to be a storm?" Song Donglin nodded. "It'll be a heavy rainstorm. However, the rain at Great Light Peak leaves as quickly as it comes. The rain should stop after we finish our meal, so don't worry about it. The martial arts field isn't afraid of the rain at all." Chu Li nodded. Emo Tsuetsue gloated. "It won't affect us, but it'll affect the spirit medicine nursery greatly. Don't you need to run back?" Chu Li frowned. Emo Tsuetsue chuckled. "Based on what I know, the golden glow grass you've planted is most afraid of waterlogging. You'll have to cover it with a cloth when it rains like this. Otherwise, it'll be soaked to death and won't live past the next day." "That seems to be the case." Song Donglin nodded. "Junior brother Zhao, you should hurry back." Chu Li shook his head. "There's no need. After this rain, you probably won't have a chance to participate in the martial arts competition next year." Emo Tsuetsue giggled. "Just stay in the spirit medicine nursery." "Staying in the spirit medicine nursery isn't a bad idea. I can use my spirit herbs to exchange for pills," Chu Li said. "Haha." Emo Tsuetsue laughed exaggeratedly. "Senior sister Emo, you don't believe me? Haha, you're so imaginative. Then, do you dare to bet with me, senior sister Emo?" Sure, what are we betting on? If I can exchange my spirit herbs for pills, Senior Sister Emo, you'll call me Senior Brother and serve me my dishes every time I eat. In your dreams. Emote Suetsue scoffed. Chuli smiled. It's fine if you don't dare to. It seems like you still believe that I can do it. You can't. Do you dare to bet with me? Sure. Emote Suetsue scoffed. What if you lose? If I lose, I'll stay away from you, Chuli said. Every time I see you, I'll avoid you and never appear in front of you. All right. Emote Suetsue agreed without hesitation. Let's do it that way. Senior Sister Sun and Senior Brother Song will be the witnesses. Don't let him go back on his word. Sun Lihua shook her head and tried to dissuade him. Song Donglin smiled. All right, let's do it that way. Chuli smiled. Junior Sister Mo, just you wait. Senior Sister Mo. Emote Suetsue scoffed. You haven't won yet. It's only a matter of time. Chuli waved his hand. You can't win. Boom! Another thunderous rumble was heard. Raindrops the size of beans began to fall, pitter-pattering as they hit their surroundings. Emote Suetsue pointed at him and laughed. It's raining so heavily, yet you still dare to talk big here. Let's see how you cry. Chuli said confidently, I'm going to win. Sun Lihua looked at Chuli worriedly. Chuli's disguise as Zhao De was ugly, but she did not dislike him. This was because her father's face had been disfigured due to his injuries. His original handsomeness had turned into ugliness, but he was still cheerful and generous. He did not feel inferior or irritable because of this. She admired him very much, so she did not dislike ugly people. Chapter 3683. Chuli felt that he had eaten to his heart's content during this meal. He was so satisfied that Qin Huichuan could not even catch his breath. Chuli felt elated. The rain came and went quickly. By the time Chuli finished his meal, the rain had stopped and the weather had cleared up. The air was fresh and the sun was shining brightly. It was as if the rain had never happened. As soon as he returned to the valley of the Spirit Medicine Nursery and stepped into the valley, Zhou Huang's round body blocked his way and glared at him angrily. Chuli fist saluted. Elder Zhou, what's wrong? What's wrong? Zhou Huang gritted his teeth. Brat, do you know that you have to cover the golden glow grass as soon as it rains? They can't stand the heavy rain and will drown. Chuli said, It's okay. I have Buddhist scriptures that can help them get through this. Buddhist scriptures again. Zhou Huang gritted his teeth. Brat, if the golden glow grass dies, I'll seal your mouth so that you can never chant scriptures again. Chuli nodded. No problem. All right, hurry up and go take a look. Zhou Huang scoffed. Chuli said, Elder Zhou, you're breaking the rules. What rules? Didn't we agree in our bet that you can't interfere with how I plant the golden glow grass? Chuli shook his head. Elder Zhou, you're breaking the agreement. Did I interfere? How did I interfere? Zhou Huang scoffed. Did I go to your place to take a look? Did I enter your spirit medicine nursery? All right. Chuli shook his head helplessly. Can I leave now? Get lost. Zhou Huang waved his hand and strode away. Don't block my way. Chuli shook his head and walked away. He returned to his spirit medicine nursery and passed by Chui Er's spirit medicine nursery. Chui Er was busy draining the soil with a shovel. Chuli greeted him. Senior Brother Chui Er. When Chui Er looked up and saw him, he quickly lowered his head and pretended not to see him. He was afraid of Zhao De now. Zhao De was pretending to be weak. Although he looked like a brute, he was actually a ruthless person. He pressured Qin Huichuan to the point that he could not breathe and forced Qin Huichuan to pass on the Earth Matrix and reincarnation scripture to him. Then, he drove Chui De out of Great Light Peak. He couldn't defeat such a vicious fellow, so it was better for him to pretend that he didn't know him. Chuli laughed and said, second brother Chui, we are neighbors now. We should take care of each other in the future. Chui waved his hand without raising his head. Chu Li smiled and said, I want to talk about eldest senior brother Chui. He was the one who dug his own grave by uprooting all the golden glow grass. In the end, not a single one was left. Chui couldn't help but raise his head and say, Chui De said he didn't hoe that much. Then maybe God is punishing him, blaming him for having evil intentions, Chu Li said. You. Chui snorted and continued working hard. Chu Li said, what you're doing is useless. Chui didn't say a word and just focused on his work. Chu Li shook his head and returned to his spirit medicine nursery with his hands behind his back. The golden glow grass looked very fresh. After being watered by the rain, it looked fresh and green, but he knew that this was not a good thing. It had drunk too much water, and if it drank any more, it would not be able to take it. He sat on the bed and circulated his withered chi to sweep across the golden glow grass. Soon, the golden glow grass drooped and no longer looked like its previous self. It was like a sick person. In this state, it couldn't eat or drink, so it stopped drinking water. This state lasted until evening. By then, the moisture in the spirit earth had almost sunk. When it started drinking water, it returned to normal and was no longer affected by the heavy rain. Although Zhou Huang stopped interfering with him, he still secretly watched him. He saw that Chu Li had returned to the spirit medicine nursery and had no intention of draining the water. Instead, Chu Li sat on the bed and chanted for an hour before he began to meditate and cultivate. He didn't care about the golden glow grass at all. He didn't even come out to check on the golden glow grass. The golden glow grass soon became wilted and drooped. Zhou Huang flew into a rage and wanted nothing more than to run over and grab Chu Li's head to give him a good beating. However, when he thought about the bet, he could only force himself not to do so. Looking at the drooped golden glow grass, Zhou Huang felt like his own child was sick. He didn't eat his lunch or dinner and hated Chu Li to the core. At night, the golden glow grass regained its vigor under the moonlight. Zhou Huang was worried that it was a sudden recovery, so he secretly watched it. The next morning, the golden glow grass was still full of vigor, which was completely different from the golden glow grass in the spirit medicine nursery. He let out a sigh of relief and calmed down. However, he couldn't help but feel surprised. Was chanting really that effective? It could even help the golden glow grass overcome the flood? This was simply unimaginable. In the following days, Chu Li would occasionally hoe the grass and then ignore it. While Zhou Huang was in a state of shock and fear, time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. During this month, Chu Li didn't leave the Great Light Peak at all. Zhou Huang kept an eye on him, so he couldn't leave and give himself away. Other than eating at the flavorful tower, he didn't go to the martial arts field. Instead, he went straight back to the spirit medicine nursery to cultivate. He was cultivating 3 scriptures at the same time. His divine light technique improved by leaps and bounds. 1 month of cultivation was equivalent to several years of hard work. His inner energy was much more profound and had far surpassed Qin Huichuan's inner energy cultivation level. When he was in the flavorful tower, he estimated the cultivation level of the disciples. If they didn't have any hidden secret techniques, then his cultivation level was already the strongest. No one could surpass him. The Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture was very helpful to him. He rarely went to the flavorful tower. Sometimes he would go there once a day, and sometimes he would go there once every few days. He would meditate and cultivate for a few days at a time. The concentration talisman made him energetic, so he could cultivate without rest. He would only chant the scriptures occasionally. Most of the time, he didn't chant the scriptures anymore. He spent most of his time in cultivation. Zhou Huang's worries slowly dissipated. Soon, the golden glow grass began to show signs of abnormality. It grew extremely fast and was abnormally vigorous, far more than the spirit medicine nursery next to it. After a month, the golden glow grass had actually matured and could be harvested. In the early morning, Zhou Huang came to the spirit medicine nursery and lowered his head to carefully examine the golden glow grass. Then, he pulled out a stalk and examined it closely. It was indeed mature and should be harvested immediately. If he delayed any longer, he would miss out on the best medicinal effects. Zhou Huang looked in through the window. Chu Li was still meditating on the bed in the house. Chu Li's breathing was long and slow as if he was in hibernation. It seemed like he wouldn't be able to meditate for a day or two. When he saw this, he couldn't stand it anymore and knocked on the window. Chu Li woke up from his meditative state. His gaze was distant and calm as he looked at Zhou Huang. "Young man, it's time to harvest the golden glow grass," Zhou Huang called out. Chu Li got off the bed and opened the door. He gave a fist salute and said, "Elder Zhou, why are you here? If I didn't come, how much longer would you have delayed?" Zhou Huang said impatiently. "The golden glow grass is ripe. It's time to harvest." Chu Li looked at the golden glow grass around him and smiled. "All right, I'll harvest them today." He turned his head and asked, "Elder Zhou, what kind of pills can I exchange these golden glow grass for? What kind of pills do you want? Is there anything that can make me handsome?" Chu Li touched his face. "This face is too ugly." Chapter 3684. P.S. Update complete. Chu Li said, "Women will only like me if I'm pleasing to the eye." Zhou Huang pouted. "Men rely on their capabilities. If they're really capable, women will definitely throw themselves at them." Chu Li shook his head. "The male disciples of Great Light Peak are very capable, but they're all more handsome than me. None of the women will like me." He did not actually want a handsome spirit pill. He only wanted to pave the way for what he was going to say next. Nonsense. Some women only look at your appearance, while others like what's inside. Zhou Huang scoffed. "Women who like your appearance are unreliable, so don't even think about becoming handsome. You're fine as you are." Chu Li said, "Elder Zhou, you're a well-fed man who doesn't know the suffering of a starving man. Weren't you handsome when you were younger?" "Of course." Zhou Huang touched his round face and scoffed. "That's still handsome and dashing." Chu Li sighed. "What spirit pills should I exchange for? What kind of spirit pills do I have? I'm not interested in anything other than those that can make me more handsome. There are plenty of spirit pills." Zhou Huang scoffed. "You should prepare some for internal injuries, right? You should also need to replenish your inner energy, right? There are also some that strengthen your bones and physique. Those are rare spirit pills." Chu Li shook his head. "These spirit pills are useless to me." "How arrogant!" Zhou Huang said. "Won't you get hurt?" Chu Li smiled. "Elder Zhou, how can I get hurt at Great Light Peak? You won't die at Great Light Peak, but it's not impossible to get hurt." Zhou Huang scoffed. "Don't you go to the martial arts field and challenge others?" "I've never gone there. Even if I go, others will get hurt, but I won't." Chu Li scoffed proudly. Zhou Huang sized him up and curled his lip. "B*****, you're crazy." However, he knew that Chu Li's cultivation level was so high that he was the best among the new disciples. Chu Li asked, "Elder Zhou, do you have any strange spirit pills?" "Strange spirit pills?" Zhou Huang thought about it. "There are quite a few." "All right, I'll look for them for you. Don't worry, you won't waste those 500 golden glow grass." Chu Li laughed. "Can I trouble you to get someone to pick these golden glow grass for me?" "No problem." Zhou Huang nodded. Chu Li said as he walked back. Zhou Huang went out and gave a few instructions before instructing some men to start harvesting the golden glow grass. Then, he entered Chu Li's house. "Young Zhao, is chanting scriptures really effective? Didn't Elder Zhou see it for yourself?" "I didn't expect it to work." Zhou Huang stroked his long, white beard. How did you do it? Chu Li shook his head. I only know that it works, but I don't know why it worked. Elder Zhou, you're an expert, you should understand, right? I don't understand. Zhou Huang shook his head. Chu Li said, who cares what it is, as long as it works? That's an incredible skill, Zhou Huang said. Young Zhao, you're reciting the Avatamsaka Sutra, aren't you? Chu Li nodded. Zhou Huang frowned and said, I've tried it too, but it didn't work. He saw that Chu Li's chanting of the adornment scripture was very effective, so he tried to find a spirit medicine nursery to chant the scripture as well. His chanting ability was not as good as Chu Li's. He did not have the power to calm people's hearts, so it was useless. Chu Li said, I've been practicing chanting since I was young. I can make plants grow faster and stronger. Elder Zhou, you've only been practicing for a short time, so you definitely can't do it. Young Zhao, let's discuss this. Zhou Huang coughed softly. I don't think you need to chant scriptures every day. Why don't you chant scriptures for everyone's herb garden? Chu Li was stunned and looked at him strangely. Zhou Huang smiled sheepishly. Course, I know this request is a little too much, but we have a huge demand for golden glow grass. The valley is a little short of supplies, and you just happen to appear. Why isn't there enough golden glow grass? Chu Li was puzzled. Zhou Huang looked around and said in a low voice, It doesn't hurt to tell you. We're going to war with the Qiu dynasty soon, so we need enough spirit medicine in reserve. Chu Li frowned. The Qiu dynasty? Haven't we been fighting the Ji dynasty? Why are we fighting the Qiu dynasty now? The Qiu dynasty is the worst. Zhou Huang shook his head. When they saw that we're going to fight the Ji dynasty, they took the opportunity to attack us. They're very restless. We need to teach them a lesson before we can focus on dealing with the Ji dynasty. The Qiu dynasty. Chu Li shook his head and sighed. Zhou Huang said, A war is going to start soon, so the demand for spirit pills has increased. We don't have enough golden glow grass. If you can shorten the maturity period of the golden glow grass and grow more golden glow grass, it'll be a great contribution. Chu Li nodded. All right, but I don't need anyone's help. I'll do it myself. Yourself? Zhou Huang frowned. He felt that Chu Li was greedy for the credit. Chu Li said, I don't actually need to weed when I chant scriptures. The golden glow grass will be very strong, so weeds won't affect them. If it's urgent, I can chant scriptures continuously for a month. All right. Zhou Huang gritted his teeth. I'll give you 2 more spirit medicine nurseries. Chu Li smiled. If I succeed, what kind of contribution will I get? Just wait for your reward. Zhou Huang smiled. You'll definitely be satisfied. Chu Li said, I want to learn alchemy. Can I? Alchemy? Zhou Huang thought about it. Sure, as long as you make a great contribution, you can go to the herbalist hall to learn alchemy. Chu Li fist saluted and smiled. Thank you, Elder Zhou. Zhou Huang said, The prerequisite is that you can grow more golden glow grass. Leave it to me. Chu Li patted his chest. Zhou Huang allocated him 2 more spirit medicine nurseries. One of them was Cui Er's spirit medicine nurseries. Cui Er was immediately chased away and was no longer around Chu Li. Zhou Huang was afraid that Cui Er would affect Chu Li's state of mind. For the next 10 days, Chu Li kept chanting scriptures. In reality, he was just pretending to multitask and was still cultivating the divine light technique. He took turns chanting scriptures on the 3 spirit medicine nurseries. After 10 days, the golden glow grass matured and was harvested once before he planted them again. Chu Li continued chanting scriptures and harvested another batch after 10 days. When Zhou Huang saw that the golden glow grass had matured in such a short period of time and that it was not damaged, he gave Chu Li 2 more spirit medicine nurseries. In total, he had 5 spirit medicine nurseries. Chu Li did not reject any of the spirit medicine nurseries. He kept chanting as he moved from one spirit medicine nurseries to the next. He worked so hard so that he could step into the herbalist hall as soon as possible and learn alchemy. Once he learned alchemy, with the life and death scripture and spirit crane's peak, he would be like a tiger that had grown wings and become his true strength. Another 10 days later, Zhou Huang gave Chu Li another 5 spirit medicine nurseries. In total, he had 10 spirit medicine nurseries. Chapter 3685. P.S. I haven't been in a good state and have been adjusting. Today's update will be late, please forgive me. Fortunately, there was more than one type of golden glow grass in the spirit medicine nursery, so he did not occupy the entire spirit medicine nursery. Even so, the production of golden glow grass was still astonishing. 2 months later, he had enough golden glow grass. Chu Li was freed and let go of the rest of the spirit medicine nursery, only planting his own. However, he was no longer planting golden glow grass but 9 gloom grass. 9 gloom grass and golden glow grass were 2 completely different types of spirit herbs. Golden glow grass did not have strong medicinal properties, but it was the most important supplementary material for alchemy, so a large amount was needed. On the other hand, 9 gloom grass was the opposite. Its medicinal properties were amazing, but not much was needed. However, because it was more delicate than golden glow grass, it was said to be the main ingredient for the miracle cure pill and light pill. Since he had enough golden glow grass, Zhou Huang handed over the planting of 9 gloom grass to Chu Li. He wanted to use Chu Li's special ability to increase the number of 9 gloom grass. Once there were enough rare spirit herbs, even if they were not used for alchemy, they could still be traded with other sects for countless benefits. Since he only had to guard this spirit medicine nursery, Chu Li was free again. In the evening, as the sun was setting, he went to the flavorful tower and saw Qin Huichuan and Meng Luo from afar. Meng Luo was facing the main door and saw Chu Li, so he quickly left with Qin Huichuan. Now all the Great Light Peak disciples knew that Zhao Dave had a unique talent for planting spirit herbs. He was the favorite of the spirit medicine nursery and had made great contributions. He was far ahead of all the new disciples and could be said to be the best. Chu Li smiled and did not look for trouble. Instead, he lazily went to Song Donglin's chair. Chu Li grinned. Junior sister Mo, as usual. Mo Tsuetsue was dressed in a white tunic. She gritted her teeth and glared at him. Senior brother Zhao, please wait. As she spoke, she stood up and left with a tray for Chu Li to eat. Sun Lihua and Song Donglin shook their heads and smiled bitterly. Sun Lihua sighed. Junior brother Zhao, just let junior sister Mo win. You're a real man, don't be so petty. Chu Li smiled. She lost the bet. She admitted it herself. What can I do? Moreover, it's not that hard to get for her. You won't tire her out, but you'll anger her. Sun Lihua shook her head. Every time she sees you, she'll be filled with anger. Chu Li laughed out loud. This is a good thing. You. Sun Lihua shook her head. She felt that Zhao Dai had a ruthless side to him as well as a childish side to him. When he was dealing with Qin Huichuan and the others, he was shrewd and ruthless in his methods. However, when he was dealing with Mo Tsuetsue, he was like a tit for a tat and did not give in at all. Bang! Mo Tsuetsue slammed the tray on the table in front of Chu Li and scoffed. Senior brother Zhao, please. Chu Li smiled and said, Thank you, sister Mo. Mo Tsuetsue lowered her head and started eating. She knew that she could not win against this guy in a verbal argument. Junior brother Zhao seems to be able to relax now, Sun Lihua said. Chu Li nodded. I'm finally not as tired as a dog anymore. I can relax for a while. Why do I have to be so tired? Song Donglin asked. Chu Li shook his head. This is confidential. I can't tell you. Hee hee, Song Donglin chuckled and said, "What kind of secrets can new disciples like us come into contact with? For example, if the Qiu dynasty and the Li dynasty are going to war, is that considered a secret?" Chu Li asked with a smile. Sometimes, sharing secrets could help build a friendship. In order to obtain other people's secrets, one must first tell one's own secrets. This was an unspoken rule that was deeply embedded in human nature. "They're going to war?" Song Donglin became excited. "Why is it the Qiu dynasty and not the Ji dynasty?" Sun Lihua was surprised. Chu Li said, "We took the initiative to attack the Ji dynasty. This time, the Qiu dynasty took the initiative to attack us. They're trying to profit from our misfortune while we're dealing with the Ji dynasty." "Damn it," Song Donglin said hatefully, "these guys are too despicable." "They're despicable indeed. That's why we need to teach them a good lesson." Chu Li nodded. Song Donglin asked, "When will the war begin?" Chu Li shook his head and said, "We're still preparing for it. It'll probably take a while. After all, it takes some time to mobilize the troop." "Junior brother Zhao, it seems like you've contributed a lot." Song Donglin smiled and said, "The golden glowgrass is a must for refining pills. It's just a small contribution." Chu Li smiled. After the four of them finished eating, Emo Tsue scoffed and said, "Senior brother Zhao, you haven't been going to the martial arts field. Are you afraid that someone will challenge you?" "I'm too lazy to deal with them." Chu Li scoffed and said, "All right, I'll go and have a look today." "You have to be careful. Someone will definitely challenge you." "That's for the best." When the four of them arrived at the martial arts field, there were already more than 20 people practicing. The martial arts field was covered with snow-white sand. It looked spotless and blended well with the white tunics worn by the people around it. Chu Li stood still on the martial arts field. He looked down at everyone with a condescending gaze and shouted, "Who dares to challenge me if you're unconvinced?" The crowd immediately started discussing among themselves. They did not expect him to be so arrogant. Chu Li laughed out loud and said, "Who dares to fight me? I'll do it." Meng Luo shouted and leaped toward Chu Li. "Zhao, you're too arrogant. Do you really think that you're the best in the world?" Chu Li scoffed. "You? You're not worth mentioning." "All right, I'll challenge you with fist techniques," Meng Luo said loudly. Chu Li said, "Since you're challenging me, why do you care about martial arts? There's no restriction at all." "Fist techniques," Meng Luo scoffed. No matter how angry and impulsive he was, he knew that he could not withstand Zhao Dai's light blade. Everyone knew that Zhao Dai's light blade had reached the 9th level. This was because apart from the saint, no one else in the Holy Church of Light had reached this level. Everyone knew how powerful the light blade was. Chu Li scoffed and said, "All right, fist techniques it is then. Thank you, Elder Yang." Elder Yang, who had witnessed his fight with Qin Huichuan, glided over and said helplessly, "Be careful this time. Don't cause any trouble." Chu Li smiled and said, "All right, I'll only injure him this time. I won't cripple his martial arts." "All right, let's begin." Elder Yang was slightly worried. If Zhao Dai caused trouble again, it would be troublesome. The torture chamber had been keeping an eye on Zhao Dai's case, and wanted to find out whether it was true or not. Chu Li stood there lazily. "Hurry up and throw a punch. You only have one chance. Take this." Meng Luo gritted his teeth and gathered all the inner energy in his body to throw a punch. It was the divine light fist. Chu Li tilted his body and glided away before throwing a punch. Bang! Meng Luo was sent flying. He flew 10 meters high, which was close to the height of a 3-story building. Then, he flew 20 meters away before landing heavily on the ground with a bang and stopped moving. Chu Li slowly retracted his fist and shook his head. "You overestimate yourself. Who else wants to challenge me?" Everyone's expression changed slightly. They knew about Meng Luo's martial arts. Since he had been sparring with them, his cultivation level was above average among them. They did not expect Meng Luo to be unable to dodge even one punch. I'll go. Another young man stepped forward. Chu Li did not even ask for his name and said, "Punch me!" Bang! Their fists collided and the young man was sent flying again. Chu Li scoffed. "Who else?" "I'll go." Another young disciple stepped forward. Chu Li threw another punch. Chapter 3686. Chu Li stood in front of the crowd and laughed. "Who else wants to challenge me?" The crowd was dumbfounded. He was so arrogant, but he had the ability to be arrogant. The disciples who went up were not convinced because they were the best among the disciples. In the end, they lost badly, so there was no need for the others to go up and ask for trouble. Chu Li laughed. "Who else wants to challenge me?" "I want to challenge senior brother Zhao's swordsmanship," a girl in green shouted. Chu Li glanced at her. "Senior sister, swords have no eyes. Don't hurt yourself. Come on." The girl in green scoffed. Chu Li did not recognize this senior sister, but he could tell that her cultivation level was not weak and her swordsmanship must be top-notch. Elder Yang shook his head and waved his hand. 2 ironwood swords flew out from the weapon rack and landed in the hands of Chu Li and the girl in green. The ironwood swords looked no different from iron swords and were as heavy as the verdant-tipped sword. Chu Li held the sword and swung it a few times. He nodded in satisfaction. It was quite smooth. He lifted the tip of the sword. "Please." The girl in green said, "Junior brother Zhao, please." Chu Li smiled. "If I use my sword, I'm afraid you won't have the chance to." "Please." The girl in green rolled her eyes at him. Chu Li shook his head helplessly. He suddenly moved his feet and a cold light flashed. The girl in green did not even have time to swing her sword before it was knocked away. The ironwood sword rolled in the air and flipped over people's heads. Finally, it landed 20 meters away with a thud. Chu Li lowered his sword and smiled. "Thank you for letting me win." The girl in green frowned at him. This was pure brute force. He did not give her a chance to attack at all. He used his strength, speed, brute force, and body technique. His cultivation level was so high that she could not compare to him. Elder Yang said, "Zhao Dai wins." Chu Li waved his sword. "Are there any more?" The crowd was silent. They could not tell if Chu Li's swordsmanship was good or bad. However, his swordsmanship was as fast as lightning and powerful. There was no way to restrain it. He did not give the opponent a chance to use his exquisite swordsmanship. It was brutal and effective. "Are there any more?" Chu Li laughed. "Is everyone convinced of my swordsmanship?" Emote Sui Tsue pursed her lips in the crowd and scoffed. "Who's impressed by your swordsmanship?" "I'm impressed by your cultivation level." "Everyone is too lazy." Chu Li shook his head and said, "When I first came here, there were many people whose cultivation level was higher than mine. Now I've fallen behind by a large margin. No one is focusing on cultivating." "Zhao Dai, that's enough," Elder Yang said helplessly. "Since no one wants to challenge us, let's just do what we need to do." Chu Li smiled and said, "All right, since Elder Yang has spoken, everyone shall disperse." He tossed the sword back onto the weapon rack and walked up to Emote Sui Tsue and Sun Lihua. "What do you think?" he asked with a smile. Emote Sui Tsue glared at him and snorted, "How arrogant of you!" Chu Li said proudly, "Who dares to disagree? We're the ones who aren't convinced." Emote Sui Tsue scoffed. "Just bear with it for now. You can't always be the strongest. I'll become stronger and stronger." Chu Li smiled. He then said, "Tomorrow, we'll go to the Sutra Library and see if there's a better body movement technique." "Our time steps is already a top-notch body movement technique," Sun Lihua said. "It's both a body movement technique and a light body technique. It's incredibly fast. Junior brother Zhao, are you not satisfied with it?" Chu Li shook his head and said, "I don't think it's exquisite enough. I want to find an exquisite body movement technique. There are many body movement techniques in the Sutra library, but none of them are stronger than time step. Sun Lihua shook her head gently. I've never heard of it. Is there a body movement technique that most people find difficult to cultivate? Chu Li asked. I like to cultivate things that most people can't. Arrogant. Emote Suetsue scoffed. You can't return to the Sutra library now. Chu Li laughed. Sun Lihua was surprised. Junior brother Zhao can return to the Sutra library? Chu Li said proudly. I can move around freely now. I can go anywhere I want. This is the benefit of merit. Sun Lihua and the other two looked at him in surprise. Song Donglin said enviously, This is a wonderful thing that can only happen in the second year. Chu Li said, I've worked hard and finally made some merit. I'll often go to the Sutra library in the future, especially the third floor. Junior sister Mo, please guide me. Emote Suetsue gritted her teeth and scoffed. She turned her head away and ignored him. A bright moon hung in the sky, shedding its light. Chu Li suddenly appeared on his own island in the public house. He was in his own courtyard. He had a few spirit herbs in his hands. He bent down and planted them in the spirit land. Then, he infused them with a dense spiritual energy. It was enough for them to adapt to the spirit land here. Xueling yawned and came out of the wing room. She said lazily, Master, you haven't been back for a long time. She wore a moon-white nightgown that covered her graceful figure. Her beautiful hair was loosely draped over her shoulders, which made her face look even more fair. Under the moonlight, she looked like a piece of white jade that exuded a warm luster. Chu Li said, I'm busy over there. Xueling nodded. So you're not so busy now? I can finally take a breather. Chu Li pointed at the 20 over spirit herbs on the ground. These two need to be watered once every 3 days. These two need to be watered once every day. These two need to be watered once every 5 days. Are these precious? Xueling asked. Chu Li said, They're spirit herbs that the Ji dynasty can't get. They're all very useful. In the future, I'll need to get some spirit herbs to refine pills myself. Refining pills is not easy. Xueling shook her head. Spirit herbs are easy to get, but it's hard to find a pill refining master. Refining pills was different from planting spirit herbs. It required great talent, just like how a miracle doctor was hard to find. When spirit herbs were mixed together, under certain conditions, a miraculous change would occur and they would turn into spirit pills. On the other hand, when some spirit herbs were mixed together and boiled in a certain amount, they would not become spirit pills, but herbs. Spirit pills and herbs were worlds apart. Their effects were as different as clouds and mud. Herbs could cure illnesses and injuries, but the effects of spirit pills were 10 to 20 times stronger than herbs. Injuries that would normally take 10 days to heal could be cured by spirit pills in 1 day. Injuries that could not be cured by herbs could be cured by spirit pills, while injuries that could be cured by spirit pills might not be cured by herbs. Herbs could treat ordinary people's illnesses, but not martial arts masters. Their injuries were often more serious than ordinary people. Herbs could not cure them at all, not to mention those pills that could replenish inner energy. Herbs could not cure them. A pill refining master needed to have a meticulous understanding of the fire. They had to be extremely sensitive to catch the fleeting opportunity of fusion. The fire was the key. If it was not there, the pill would not be formed. If it was too late, the pill would be destroyed. Chu Li smiled. I've never had the chance to learn alchemy. Master, you're a genius in martial arts. Alchemy might not be good at it. Xueling smiled. But there's a pill refining master in our public house. You can learn from him. Yes. Chu Li nodded slowly. Learning alchemy is not difficult. The key is the recipe. Chapter 3687. Master, have a cup of hot tea, Xue said softly. Her eyes were as clear as water. Under the moonlight, they were less cold and more charming. Julie nodded and the two went to the gazebo. Soon, the gazebo was brightly lit as if it was daytime. Shwe worked quickly and soon, the tea was ready and served. Julie asked, "Is everything all right in the public house?" "It's quite peaceful." Shwe frowned. "But I don't think it's good. Everyone seems to have become lazy." Julie looked at her curiously. Shwe said, "Our public house is strong now. Everyone doesn't have to tremble in fear like before. They've become lazy." Julie nodded slowly. "That's inevitable. If this goes on, I feel like my martial arts will deteriorate." Shwe said, "My blade will rust if I don't use it." Julie smiled. "Do you have any ideas?" "I don't have any good ideas." Shwe frowned and shook her head. "We can't provoke and suppress the factions in the martial arts world, right? They're very honest and well-behaved. We can't do anything to them. We'll be busy soon." Julie shook his head. "There's going to be a war at the border. Tell everyone to be prepared. The martial arts world of the Li dynasty won't be peaceful." "All right." Shwe nodded. "I'll report to Master Xiao." Julie said, "Let Master Xiao strengthen his control over the water transportation. Once the war starts, it'll definitely become a battleground." Shwe agreed. Then, she told him some interesting things that happened in the public house, trivial things, big or small. Julie listened carefully. The public house had always been his route. Even when he was in King An's imperial residence, or even in the Li dynasty, he never stopped paying attention to the public house. His biggest gain from his trip to the Great Light Peaks Spirit Medicine Nursery was that he had obtained many long-lost spirit herbs from the Ji dynasty. With these spirit herbs, some of the High Duke's public house's pill formulas could be restored, and they would be able to produce more powerful spirit pills. Spirit pills were related to the strength of the public house, and were fatally attractive to grandmasters. When he stole spirit herbs from the Spirit Medicine Nursery, he usually only stole 1 or 2, 3 at most. He moved them to his island and used the life and death scripture to mature them. The next day, Julie woke up in the small house in the Spirit Medicine Nursery. He heard footsteps coming from outside and saw Zhou Huang striding toward him. Julie immediately opened the door. Zhou Huang's face was glowing, and he was in high spirits. He chuckled and said, "Young man, I've got something good for you." Julie gestured for him to enter the house. "Is there any news about the spirit pill?" He was not in a hurry to exchange the golden glow grass from last time for panaceas. He wanted to exchange for some miraculous and rare panaceas with peculiar effects. It would be best if they could strengthen one's physique. It was a pity that he did not have enough golden glow grass. Through his meritorious service this time, he could finally get his hands on the miracle pill. Zhou Huang had already promised to help him think of a solution at the herbalist hall. Now it seemed like there was finally some news. "This time, I've sacrificed my dignity and your contribution to convince them." Zhou Huang shook his head and said, "Finally, they've taken out their secret miracle pill. It's not easy." Julie was the key to making the herbalist hall take out the miraculous pill that was their trump card. The pressure of medicinal pills gave the hall of apothecary a headache. The Saintess had directly ordered a large number of medicinal pills in a short period of time. In the past, they would not have been able to complete so many spirit pills because the herbalist hall did not keep the number of medicinal pills. The key was the production of golden glow grass, which was the root of the problem. However, the production of golden glow grass could not be increased in a short period of time. Even if they were planted, it would take 2 to 3 months to harvest. By then, the war would have already started. One spirit pill could save a life, so the herbalist hall was anxious. They did not expect the Spirit Medicine Nursery to suddenly explode, and the production of golden glow grass suddenly increased, breaking the shackles. The herbalist hall was also in high spirits and worked hard to refine pills. They actually achieved the goal set by the saintess and received great credit. Therefore, the herbalist hall was very grateful to Chu Li. Coupled with Zhou Huang's coaxing and pestering, they finally relented and took out their secret miracle pill. "What is it?" Chu Li hurriedly said. "Of course, Elder Zhou, you've contributed a lot." Zhou Huang glared at him and took out a jade bottle from his inner pocket to pass it to Chu Li. Chu Li opened the jade bottle and poured out an emerald green pill that was sealed with beeswax to conceal its smell. "What pill is this?" Chu Li asked. The pill was emerald green, fresh, and full of vitality like a sprout after a rain. It was inexplicably appealing, and one could tell that this pill was extraordinary. "It's the wind speed pill," Zhou Huang said proudly. "Consuming this pill will make one's body lighter and faster." Chu Li was surprised. Zhou Huang scoffed. "Most importantly, this effect is permanent. It's a miraculous technique that can change one's physique." Chu Li's eyes widened. Zhou Huang chuckled. "What do you think? Is this what you want? With such a miraculous pill, won't the Holy Church of Light be invincible?" Chu Li smiled. "You're only daydreaming," Zhou Huang said impatiently. "If that's the case, we'll be invincible. Most importantly, there's only one wind speed pill. Do you think anyone can get it? There's only one." Chu Li looked disappointed. Zhou Huang scoffed. "The wind speed pill requires the most important spirit herb, wind speed grass. It's extinct now. Wind speed grass can no longer be found in the world, so the wind speed pill is extinct. There's no way to refine it." "Why is it extinct?" Chu Li frowned and asked in confusion. "A spirit pill like this that can change one's physique requires top-notch spirit herbs. These spirit herbs usually need rich spiritual energy from heaven and earth to survive. They've been extinct ever since spirit beasts entered 100,000 hills." Zhou Huang shook his head and sighed. "I hate myself for being born 10,000 years later. If I was born then, there would have been countless spirit herbs. Now, all the top-notch spirit herbs are extinct. With this spirit pill, martial arts masters back then must have been much more powerful," Chu Li exclaimed. "Of course," Zhou Huang said. "Top-notch spirit herbs were everywhere back then. After refining and consuming the pill, one's physique would be greatly improved. It's not something current martial arts masters can achieve. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to fend off spirit beasts." Chu Li nodded. "Is there wind speed grass in 100,000 hills?" "Of course." Zhou Huang nodded vigorously before shaking his head. "But what's the use? Who would dare to enter 100,000 hills to pick it? Those spirit beasts aren't vegetarians. There's no return." Chu Li sighed. "What a pity." His heart skipped a beat. Since 100,000 hills had it, Spirit Crane's Peak might have it too. He would have to search for it. "Elder Zhou, can you get your hands on the formula for the wind speed pill?" Chu Li asked. "I'd like to take a look." Zhou Huang laughed. "Why would you want to see it? Don't tell me you want to refine pills?" "Yes, I want to learn alchemy," Chu Li replied. "Nonsense." Zhou Huang's face darkened. "Why would you want to learn alchemy? That's not something a human can do." "What do you mean it's not something a human can do?" Chu Li laughed. "Who can stand being covered in smoke and fire all day long?" Zhou Huang scoffed. "You're already tanned enough. If you're covered in smoke, you'll be even more unpresentable." Chapter 3688. P.S. Update complete. Zhou Huang stared at him and saw his serious expression. He knew that he was serious and said helplessly, "You're crazy. Why would you refine pills? With your ability to plant spirit herbs, why would you lack spirit pills?" Chu Li replied, "It's more interesting to refine pills on my own. You can use spirit herbs to exchange, and you won't have to suffer. Spirit herbs won't be enough for a greenhorn like you. Every pill-refining master is fed with spirit herbs. Who knows how many spirit herbs you'll lose?" Zhou Huang scoffed. No matter how good you are at planting spirit herbs, you won't be able to withstand it. Chu Li smiled. Thank you for your concern, Elder Zhou, but don't worry. I won't delay planting spirit herbs. He chanted scriptures once a day or even once every 2 or 3 days. Zhou Huang said impatiently, I don't care if you plant spirit herbs or not. I just can't bear to see you go astray. What's the use of refining pills? Do you really think you can refine pills obediently? Zhao Dai was a genius in cultivation. People like him were destined to make a name for themselves in the martial arts world. How could he sit beside an alchemy furnace obediently? Learning to refine pills was a waste of time and energy. The loss outweighed the gain. Those wasted spirit herbs could be exchanged for countless spirit pills. Zhou Huang was not worried about Chu Li's time and energy, but the spirit herbs. Chu Li said, I'll eat this wind speed pill first. He crushed the beeswax and put it in his mouth. Hurry up and cultivate. Don't waste the medicine, Zhou Huang said. Chu Li nodded and sat cross-legged on the bed to cultivate. After a quarter of an hour, Chu Li opened his eyes. In a flash, he appeared outside the house. His body moved and several shadows appeared at the same time. Zhou Huang looked at the shadows and smiled. How is it? It's much faster, Chu Li exclaimed. He estimated that he could increase his speed by 1/10, which was already a shocking improvement. His speed was already extremely fast, and it was difficult to increase it by even a little. Increasing it by 1/10 meant that he could instantly appear 10 meters away or 11 meters away. It was a completely different speed. It'll be great if I have a few more wind speed pills. Chu Li sighed. In your dreams, Zhou Huang said impatiently. I only have one. I heard that the effect of the wind speed pill decreases with every pill you consume. It'll be useless even if you consume too many. Chu Li nodded. Zhou Huang said, You're really lucky to have gotten the last one. Chu Li smiled. Thank you, Elder Zhou. There's also a giant spirit pill here. Zhou Huang took out another jade bottle from his pocket and passed it to Chu Li. This is for increasing your strength. You're born with divine strength. If you increase your strength, you'll become even stronger. Chu Li poured out a spirit pill that looked like a topaz. It had an earthy yellow color, but it was warm and crystal clear. Then I'll eat it. Chu Li crushed the beeswax and swallowed it in one go, then channeled for 15 minutes. He waved his hand and a whistling sound rang out. Good! Chu Li praised. He could feel that his strength had increased tremendously. Coupled with the speed of the wind speed pill and the sudden increase of his hand speed, he was able to strike faster with his sword. Even the power of his light blade had increased slightly. The 2 spirit pills had greatly increased his strength. He shook his head and sighed. The ancients are indeed powerful. This kind of elixir spirit used a lot, how could the body be weak, much stronger than the current martial arts masters? It's useless to be envious. Zhou Huang scoffed. It's impossible for us to enter 100,000 hills. Whenever I think of 100,000 hills, I'm itching to fly in. Unfortunately, I can't get out even if I fly in. There were countless spirit herbs in 100,000 hills, and most of them were extinct. As someone from the spirit medicine nursery, he was the most envious. Elder Zhou, do you still have the formula for this giant spirit pill? Chu Li asked. Zhou Huang knew that Chu Li had not given up and wanted to become a pill-refining master. He asked helplessly, Are you really going to refine pills? Chu Li shook his head. I'm just curious and want to try to learn. It's always good to have a skill. Even if I lose my martial arts in the future, I won't starve to death. Good, good. Zhou Huang scoffed. Since you want to refine pills, I'll introduce you to someone from the herbalist hall. Let's see if you can learn it. However, let's make it clear that you can only learn for a month. Chu Li gave a fist salute and smiled. Thank you, Elder Zhou. Humph, don't thank me. Zhou Huang looked annoyed and turned to leave. Chu Li said, Let's go today. Alright, let's go. Zhou Huang scoffed. You want to learn alchemy? An elder with goldfish eyes in front of Chu Li asked coldly. The three of them were standing in front of a cave and talking. The elder with goldfish eyes was dressed in a black outfit. His face was red, as if he had been exposed to the sun. His eyes were red and squinted as if he was tearing up. A gust of wind blew, and he quickly shielded his eyes with his hands to prevent the wind from blowing into his eyes. Although he had shielded his eyes, a gust of wind still blew into his eyes. Tears streamed down his cheeks. Chu Li nodded. Elder and I want to learn alchemy. Why are you refining pills instead of planting spirit herbs? And I Hong wiped his tears and noted coldly, the most important thing to do is to be single-minded. You must focus on one thing and only do one thing. You planted spiritual herbs and learned to refine pills at the same time, but you achieved nothing in the end. Chu Li said, I've made a promise with Elder Zhou that I'll only learn for a month. If I fail, I'll stop learning after a month. A month! And I Hong laughed coldly. If you can learn alchemy in a month, being a pill refining master is worthless. Elder and I, you're too? Close? Old dispatch call greedy mulberry? My humble garden knock broken bones in the courtyard? Dispatch call waste? My courtyard linden pine moisture pry block roundworm agent? Alright, a month. And I Hong scoffed. I'll only discipline you for a month or not. Thank you, Elder and I. Chu Li fist saluted. And I Hong scoffed. Pill refining masters have a higher requirement for talent. Let's start now. We'll start with the alchemy furnace, then we'll talk about heat control, and finally, we'll try to practice. He brought Chu Li deep into the cave. The cave was neat and spacious. There was an exquisite alchemy furnace that was as tall as a person's head when Chu Li sat down. There were exquisite patterns carved on it, and it looked as if it was alive. Below the alchemy furnace were a few charcoal-like stones that looked like red-hot iron, emitting scorching heat. This is the alchemy furnace. And I Hong pointed at Yangming's alchemy furnace. His cold expression immediately softened, and a gentle expression appeared on his face. To a pill refiner, it's your closest partner. It's with you the longest, even longer than your wife. Chu Li nodded. And I Hong continued, the alchemy furnace's quality is crucial, and so is its rapport with you. You must be as familiar with it as you are with your own body, or else, you won't be able to become a pill refining master. Chu Li nodded. And I Hong continued, as for heat control, it's a deep topic that can't be explained in a short time. The key is to understand it yourself. Everyone has a different feeling toward heat control, and the most important thing in alchemy is heat control. Those who can't become pill refining masters are unable to master heat control. Elder and I, does the herbalist hall have the prescriptions for the wind speed pill and the giant spirit pill? Chu Li interrupted. We do have the wind speed pill and the giant spirit pill. And I Hong nodded. They were simple spirit pills in ancient times, and they were easy to cultivate. However, we don't have the wind speed grass and titanium grass now, so we can't cultivate them anymore. Chu Li nodded. Wind speed grass, titanium grass. Chapter 3689. You can't grow it in the spirit medicine nursery? Chu Li asked. It can't. And I Hong shook his head. Zhou Huang said, it can't. Chu Li asked, do you have pictures of wind speed grass and titanium grass? You're looking for them? And I Hong gave him a sidelong glance. Chu Li nodded. I might be able to find them. Wishful thinking. And I Hong sneered. If you can find them, why can't the Holy Church? I've always been lucky. Chu Li said, I didn't die even after being pushed off a cliff. I even had a fortuitous encounter, and was chosen by the saint to become an inner mountain disciple. I was originally a disciple of a small association in town. If something like this can happen, what else is impossible? Ha ha. And I Hong laughed. Chu Li smiled. Elder and I, you don't believe me? All right, you're indeed lucky. And I Hong shook his head. Someone. His hoarse voice traveled far. Soon, a disciple in green walked out of the cave and bowed with a fist salute. Elder and I. Bring me the 1,000 herb scripture, and I Hong ordered. Yes. The disciple in green bowed and entered the cave. He turned a corner and disappeared. Chu Li's omniscient mirror saw him walking inside swiftly. After 100 meters, he arrived at a circular stone room with all kinds of furniture. The 4 walls were lined with bookshelves, and there were luminous pearls embedded in the walls, which illuminated the room gently. The disciple in green took out a thick silk book from the bookshelf. It looked like a dictionary from the future. He then turned around and used his light body technique to quickly reach them. Elder and I, the 1,000 herb scripture. He handed it over with both hands. And I Hong pointed at Chu Li. Show him. The disciple in green handed the thick 1,000 herb scripture to Chu Li. Of course, he recognized Chu Li. He was arrogant, but his cultivation level was unparalleled. He was a genius that could only be looked up to. He sighed to himself. He was also a genius in cultivation, but he was afraid of being compared to others. Compared to Zhao Dave, he was mediocre. This was what all the new disciples lamented. Fortunately, everyone thought the same. Chu Li accepted the 1,000 herb scripture with a smile. Thank you, senior brother Zhu. He recognized this senior brother Zhu Suifeng. His appearance was above average, and he was a man of few words. However, his cultivation was very profound, and he could be ranked in the top 5 among the disciples. His focus and diligence far exceeded that of ordinary people. Zhu Suifeng retreated with a smile. And I Hong scoffed. This 100 herb scripture was passed down from ancient times, but unfortunately, most of the spiritual herbs in it can't be found anymore. Only a few of them exist in this world, and everyone reads it as a legend. Chu Li said, Elder and I, how about giving this 1,000 herb scripture to me? You're not polite at all. And I Hong responded snappily, this would have been a secret art in ancient times, but it's not very useful now. It's fine for you to take it, but don't even think about finding the spiritual herb on it. You'll be lucky if you can recognize it. Chu Li nodded. He was able to enter 100,000 hills, and Spirit Crane's peak was filled with spiritual herbs, just like how the peak was filled with herbs now. However, he could not recognize most of the spiritual herbs, and it was a treasure to him. This 1,000 herb scripture might be of little value to others, but it was a treasure to him. You're fast at planting spiritual herbs, so it's fine to waste some. Refine the muscle-growing pill first, it's the simplest spirit pill, and it helps to heal wounds. And I Hong said, Guards! Zhu Suifeng appeared again. Get him a few portions of the spiritual herbs for the muscle-growing pill, and I Hong said, and send them to the mystery room. Yes, Zhu Suifeng responded and left again. Chu Li asked, Elder and I, don't you have any prescriptions? What prescriptions do you want to see? Wind Speed Pill, Giant Spirit Pill, and this muscle-growing pill. Why don't you take a look at the other prescriptions too? Like the 1,000 herb scripture, Chu Li said. Yes, I do. And I Hong nodded. Chu Li smiled. I can refine pills on my own in the future, so I won't have to trouble you anymore. And I Hong sneered. You're dreaming. Young Zhu, bring me the treasure pill scripture. Yes. Zhu Suifeng's voice came from afar. Follow me. And I Hong brought him to another stone room. This stone room was much smaller than the one they saw earlier. It was about 20 square meters. In the center was an alchemy furnace that was about the same size as the previous one, but the veins were not as exquisite. It was dark and seemed to have been through the vicissitudes of time. There was a spring on one side of the stone room that was so clear that the bottom could be seen. There were a few small fishes swimming in it. On the other side, there was a pile of firewood and hard black rocks that looked like coal or coke. Start the fire first. And I Hong pointed at the pile of firewood. He burned the firewood and placed the black block on top of it. Soon, a scorching aura gushed out and thick smoke billowed up to the top of the stone room. The design here was ingeniously designed to suck away the smoke. At this moment, Zhu Suifeng brought over a bamboo basket that contained some spiritual herbs. Chu Li recognized the golden glowgrass, and there was also a thick silk book that was like the 1,000 herb scripture. He handed it to Chu Li. Junior brother Zhao. Chu Li took it and flipped through the treasure pill scripture first. He found the muscle-growing pill and the alchemy method was written on it. Just follow the instructions, and I Hong said. This is the easiest pill to refine. The key is the control of the fire, which is based on your intuition. You won't be able to open the alchemy furnace to take a look. Besides, you won't be able to tell anything even if you look at it. Chu Li nodded. Let's begin, and I Hong said. Chu Li first opened the heavy lid of the alchemy furnace, which emitted a faint smell of medicine. He scooped 4 ladles of water from the spring and poured them into the furnace. Then, he tossed 4 different kinds of spiritual herbs into the alchemy furnace. 1, 2, 3, and 4 different kinds of spiritual herbs. Then, he closed the lid and sat in front of the alchemy furnace. This muscle-growing pill will take about 2 hours to refine, and I Hong said. But it's different whether the fire is strong or not. 2 flint stones and 4 flint stones are different. You're not good at lighting a fire, so you might need more time, but it won't take more than 3 hours. You'll have to feel when the pill is formed. There'll be a strong fragrance when the pill is formed, but it'll be too late to stop the fire when you smell the fragrance. It'll be most effective if you stop the fire right before the fragrance spreads. Otherwise, it'll be useless once the fire is over. Chu Li nodded. All right, you'll have to feel it yourself. The key is feeling. And I Hong said. A pill refining master's innate talent is this feeling. Let's see if you have it. As he spoke, he walked out with Zhou Huang. Chu Li sat on the cattail hassock in front of the alchemy furnace and took out the 1,000 herb scripture. He quickly flipped through it and imprinted it into his mind. As he flipped through it, he recalled the spirit crane's peak and the situation there to see if there were any spiritual herbs that matched his description. The thick silk book had a total of 1,002 pages. When he was finally done flipping through the 1,000 herb scripture, he realized that there were 30 types of spiritual herbs on the spirit crane's peak. Unfortunately, there was only the titanium grass and no wind speed grass. However, he did not mind. If there was none on the spirit crane's peak, he could ask the spirit cranes for help. The spirit cranes were as intelligent as a man in his prime, and the 2 old cranes were even smarter than humans. They could tell from a simple drawing. Based on their friendship, it should not be difficult for them to find a few wind speed grass for him. As he flipped through the book, he looked forward to consuming a few wind speed pills and the giant spirit pills. His strength would improve to the next level. He took out the treasured alchemy scripture. There were a total of 306 pages with 360 pill recipes. Chapter 3690. He glanced at the alchemy furnace and saw the situation inside clearly with the omniscient mirror. The flowing spring water had turned black, and the 4 spirit herbs had turned into a medicinal liquid that emitted a strong medicinal smell. It was almost impossible to smell a fragrance amidst the strong medicinal smell. His sense of smell was superhuman due to the all-seeing scripture, so he could distinguish every smell. Unfortunately, the muscle-gaining pill could not be distinguished by its fragrance. After flipping through the 2 books, he stared at the alchemy furnace attentively to observe the slight changes that occurred. Time passed unknowingly, and an hour later, I Hong walked over and sat on the cattail hassock next to him. He stared at the alchemy furnace. Chu Li closed his eyes and breathed slowly as if he was meditating. I Hong glanced at him and scoffed. He was really patient to be able to meditate at a time like this. Chu Li suddenly opened his eyes and quickly scooped some water under the alchemy furnace to extinguish the fire. He then scooped some more water and poured it on the alchemy furnace. White steam instantly rose and seeped into the roof. Amidst the strong medicinal smell, there was a faint fragrance. Chu Li smiled and looked at An Hong. Elder An, the pills are done. An Hong frowned at him. Have you refined pills before? No. Chu Li shook his head. An Hong scoffed and watched as Chu Li poured a few more drops of water on the alchemy furnace. When the alchemy furnace was opened, the fragrance assailed his nostrils. Chu Li beamed with joy. So, this is the completion of the pill, right? That's right. An Hong scoffed. He could refine the muscle-gaining pill with his eyes closed and would never fail. However, it was Zhao Dai's first time refining pills, yet he managed to seize the fleeting opportunity. It could only be said that he was gifted and was a natural pill-refining master. Chu Li reached out and dug into his palm. There was a thick ointment in his palm that looked like the snowflake ointment in the future. He smelled it and smiled. This is the muscle-gaining pill. The so-called spirit pills were usually in the form of ointment after they were refined. They were then kneaded into pills and sealed with beeswax. The ointment looked no different from steaming herbal juice until it was half dry, but there was a qualitative difference. Not bad, make another batch. An Hong scoffed. Zhu Suifeng came over too. He took the tools to remove the muscle-gaining pills and quickly cleaned the alchemy furnace. Chu Li continued to refine pills. 2 hours later, Chu Li once again used water to extinguish the fire and cool the alchemy furnace. Another batch of muscle-gaining pills was made. Alright, let's make something more complicated, like the fortifying pill, said An Hong. Zhu Suifeng took out another basket of spirit herbs. Chu Li followed the instructions of the treasured pill scripture and threw in 10 different types of spirit herbs. Then, he increased the fire. This time, it took 4 hours. Once again, he controlled the heat precisely. Through the observation of the omniscient mirror, he could clearly see the fusion process of the spirit herbs. They were initially fighting on their own, but they eventually merged into one. Everything was clearly displayed before his eyes. The moment they merged into one, they had to cease fire. Chu Li admired the pill-refining master for being able to grasp this moment even without the omniscient mirror. An Hong looked at Yangming strangely after the vitality fortification pills were produced. Chu Li smiled. Elder An, it's just a feeling. I felt that they had succeeded, but I didn't expect them to actually succeed. Good fella, God is really unfair. An Hong scoffed. Zhao Dai was a prodigy in martial arts and was now the #1 disciple of the first peak. He was also a prodigy in planting spirit herb. Unexpectedly, he was also a prodigy in alchemy. Apart from his ugly appearance, he was truly a god's favored one. At that moment, footsteps were heard and a gentle female voice was heard. Is senior brother An here? Come in. An Hong yelled. Soon, a graceful woman dressed in white entered. Her figure fluttered as she approached. Chu Li was surprised. Senior sister Li. It was Li Ruolin. Li Ruolin was still as beautiful as ever. Her bright eyes were charming and alluring. She chuckled and fist saluted. Senior brother An, sorry to disturb you. Junior sister Li, why are you here? An Hong was surprised. You're a distinguished person. Li Ruolin chuckled. How am I a distinguished person? I'm here to look for junior brother Zhao Dai. I was about to report to the saint. Assign Zhao Dai to the herbalist hall, An Hong quickly said. We need such manpower. Li Ruolin looked at him in surprise. He's a genius in alchemy, An Hong praised. He's shockingly talented. Li Ruolin shook her head. I'm bringing Zhao Dai with me this time. What's going on? An Hong asked. Li Ruolin explained. His cultivation level is high enough to leave the peak and enter the world. I'm bringing him with me this time to help me. He won't be staying at the first peak forever. He's going to enter the world so soon? And I Hong frowned. Aren't you spoiling things through excessive enthusiasm? He can handle it. Li Ruolin chuckled. Don't worry, senior brother and I. If he likes alchemy, he can come over when he's free. Sigh. And I Hong shook his head. Once he enters the world, he won't be able to focus on alchemy. Forget it, it's up to you. Junior brother Zhao, come with me, Li Ruolin said. Chu Li nodded helplessly and told an I Hong, Elder and I'll come back to refine pills. You can come any time. And I Hong nodded. Chu Li brought the 100 herb scripture and the treasured pill scripture out of the cave with Li Ruolin. It was already evening, and the sun was setting in the west, making her look even more tender and charming, so beautiful that it was indescribable. Senior sister Li, what's the matter? Chu Li asked. I'm going to the Qiu dynasty. Come with me. Li Ruolin frowned. He's a bandit who has killed countless people, but he managed to escape to the Qiu dynasty. I've been ordered to hunt him down. A bandit? Chu Li asked. What about the spirit medicine nursery if I leave the mountain? Elder Zhou will take care of it. Li Ruolin explained. He's the chief of the Sky Crossing camp. He's committed all sorts of crimes, including burning, killing, and looting. In the end, he incurred the wrath of the martial arts world. They surrounded the Sky Crossing camp, but the chief, Zhao Haiyun, managed to escape into the Qiu dynasty's territory. He's a powerful person, Chu Li said. Li Ruolin nodded slowly. He's cunning and has outstanding martial arts. That's why I have to do it myself. I reckon that I can't do it alone, so I came to you for help. Zhao Dai's cultivation level was high now. His most powerful weapon was the light blade. It was an excellent weapon for assassination or pursuit. No problem. Chu Li patted his chest. I'll definitely destroy this guy. Go back and pack your things. We'll leave immediately, Li Ruolin said. Chu Li nodded. He quickly returned to his spirit medicine nursery. Zhou Huang was already waiting there and shoved 2 bottles of spirit pills into his hands. Young man, it's not the great light peak at the foot of the mountain. You might lose your life if you're not careful. These spirit pills can save your life. Don't lose them. Chu Li took the spirit pills. Elder Zhou, don't worry. I'm very tough. I'm afraid that you'll think that way. Zhou Huang said impatiently. You have to listen to Ruolin. Don't act on your own. Chapter 3691. Chu Li and Li Ruolin glided away. ___________. I heard that you were very awe-inspiring in the training field, challenging all the disciples and no one could defeat you? Li Ruolin looked as if she was riding the wind. She was graceful as if she was flying in the sky. She asked lazily, Have you ever thought that you'll become a public enemy by doing this? Chu Li said nonchalantly, What does that matter? I'm the strongest anyway. Whoever dares to go against me, I'll take care of them. You. Li Ruolin shook her head and said, You'll feel terrible if you don't cause trouble for a day. Who would want to be with you when you've humiliated everyone like this? I can't be bothered to go along with them. They're so weak that they can't even stand up to a gust of wind. Chu Li scoffed. There's also the torture chamber. Why didn't they take care of Qin Huaichuan? If I were the punishment hall, I would have taken him down long ago and crippled his martial arts to prevent him from becoming a scourge. Although Qin Huaichuan's methods are ruthless, it's only petty tricks. Li Ruolin shook her head and said, The Earth Matrix and reincarnation scripture that he's cultivating is very mysterious. He's able to borrow strength to fight. The palm energy that he used to injure his Dantian is your palm energy. Chu Li raised his eyebrows and nodded slowly. He had also grasped a hint of the profoundness of the Earth Matrix and reincarnation scripture. It was not difficult for him to shift his inner force. He could store his opponent's palm force in his body and use it for his own attack. On the surface, it would look no different from his opponent's palm force. Qin Huaichuan had the Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture, so he was able to do it flawlessly. He had indeed struck his dantian with his palm. As for his claim that he did not use any inner energy, no one could say for sure. In the end, his dantian was indeed damaged, and the palm energy was Chu Li's. No matter how they investigated, there would be no loopholes. Even the torture chamber would not be able to clear his name. However, all kinds of methods were useless in front of the Saintess. The two of them chatted as they traveled. Chu Li realized that Li Rulin knew his situation like the back of her hand. It was obvious that she had been keeping an eye on him. The Holy Maiden also knows about your situation. She said that you need some setbacks. It's not good to be too smooth. Li Rulin gently shook her head and said, "Moreover, the saint has also said that you're useless in the sutra library. The most important thing is to cultivate the divine light technique." Chu Li nodded. After traveling for a day and a night, they finally stepped into the Qiu dynasty's territory. The territory of the Qiu dynasty was no different from that of the Li dynasty. Even their customs were the same. It did not feel like they were two different countries at all. Li Rulin had already found out where Zhao Haiyun was through the spies of the Holy Church of Light. The two of them kept walking forward and finally stopped outside a bustling big city in the evening. The city had the words Wu City written on it. There was an endless stream of people coming and going. Horse carriages were buzzing and horses neighing. It was very lively. "Senior sister, is he still here?" Chu Li shook his head. "He must have moved a long time ago." "No." Li Rulin shook her head. "He thinks that we won't dare to do anything to him if he escapes to the Qiu dynasty." Chu Li raised his eyebrows. "Could he be from the Qiu dynasty?" "Even if he's from the Qiu dynasty, I'll still kill him." Li Rulin's expression darkened as she said coldly, "He's committed too many sins." Chu Li nodded. "But if he's from the Qiu dynasty, will he be related to the martial arts world of the Qiu dynasty?" "Let's talk about it when we meet," Li Rulin said. "We must kill him no matter what." Chu Li nodded slowly. The two of them slowly entered the city and went straight to a restaurant. They went up to the third floor. The third floor was bustling with noise and excitement. There was a man sitting steadily while the rest of the people were facing him. It was as if they had surrounded him and were listening to him speak. "As far as I know, the Qiu dynasty is going to teach the Li dynasty a lesson this time. We'll let them know what the Qiu dynasty's cavalry is like." The old man's face was as smooth as a silver basin. His silver hair was neat and shiny, and his complexion was rosy. He was very good at maintaining his health. "Elder Luo, can the Qiu dynasty really defeat the Li dynasty?" A middle-aged man frowned. "I heard that the Li dynasty's national power has increased tremendously in the past few years. Also, the Holy Church of Light seems to have obtained the complete copy of the Great Light Scripture. They're insufferably powerful. They have the Holy Church of Light, but we have the Reincarnation Temple and Hai Tsang Mountain." Elder Luo stroked his silver beard and smiled. "They're evenly matched. Neither of them can do anything to the other. However, the Qiu dynasty's cavalry is unique and unstoppable. The Li dynasty's cavalry has learned from us. This time, it's a master teaching his disciple a lesson. A master teaching his disciple a lesson." The crowd laughed. Li Rulin glanced at them and ignored them. She went straight to a table and sat down. The crowd glanced at the two of them and looked away. Li Rulin's face was covered with a white veil, so they could not tell if she was beautiful or not. However, Chu Li was ugly, so they did not want to look at him again after one glance. Li Rulin's charming eyes turned, and she gave Chu Li a look. Chu Li followed her gaze and looked at a middle-aged man. He looked ordinary and would not stand out in a crowd. His eyes were empty and weak. He looked like a person who drank too much and did not practice martial arts. Chu Li frowned and lowered his head. He can hide his martial arts? Li Ruolin nodded lightly. Elder Luo stroked his beard and continued, this is also called killing a fat sheep. It's better to fatten the sheep before killing it. The Qiu dynasty has been ignoring the Li dynasty for the past few years, so they thought that we're afraid. Now we'll teach them a lesson and we'll be able to snatch a lot of good stuff. The Li dynasty is rich in gold. If we can snatch all of it, it'll be amazing. Those who go to war will be rich. The crowd exclaimed. Chu Li shook his head and frowned. He could feel the arrogance and greed of the Qiu dynasty. They treated the Li dynasty as a fat sheep. The Li dynasty's cavalry was not ordinary, and they had a big mouth too. Li Ruolin said softly, the Qiu dynasty's cavalry is amazing. Chu Li asked, are they really stronger than the Li dynasty? It's hard to say. Li Ruolin said, 200 years ago, the Qiu dynasty's cavalry helped train the cavalry. At that time, the two countries fought against the Fu dynasty together. Chu Li frowned. But the Li dynasty is different now. We might not be weaker than the Qiu dynasty, Li Ruolin said. Chu Li said, let's not care about that and kill this guy first. We'll have to ask first, Li Ruolin said. It's not too late to kill him after we get to the bottom of it. What if he's mistaken? After she finished speaking, she stood up and sat opposite the middle-aged man. I'm sorry for being rude. Chu Li knew that this person was Zhao Haiyun. Moreover, he was well-versed in martial arts. It was no wonder that he was able to escape. He indeed had a strong cultivation level and a top-notch light body technique. Zhao Haiyun held onto his wine glass with a gloomy expression. He was thinking about how he could take revenge. He wanted to return to the Li dynasty in a month's time and eliminate the people who were hunting him. When Zhao Haiyun saw Li Ruolin sitting down, he glanced at her and said coldly, I don't have time to talk. May I know your name, mister? Li Ruolin was unmoved. She asked gently, which faction are you from? Please move away, or I won't be polite. Zhao Haiyun scoffed. Li Ruolin smiled sweetly and said, Mister, why are you so distant? I can see that your forehead is dark and you're facing a bloody disaster. It's better for you to be careful. Zhao Haiyun stared at Li Ruolin and frowned. Who are you? Then I'll have to ask you which faction are you from? Li Ruolin chuckled and shook her head. Are you from the Li dynasty? Humph. Zhao Haiyun said coldly, ridiculous. Li Ruolin asked, are you from the Sky Crossing camp? Who the hell are you? Zhao Haiyun shouted. Li Ruolin said calmly, I'm here to take your life, Zhao Haiyun. You must be a martial arts master from the Li dynasty. Zhao Haiyun laughed out loud. How dare you? This is the Qiu dynasty, and I'm from the Qiu dynasty. Zhao Haiyun, you've done all kinds of evil and deserve to die. Do you think you'll be safe after escaping to the Qiu dynasty? Li Ruolin scoffed. You shall die today. Then she unsheathed her sword. Chapter 3692. P.S. Update complete. These four cold lights were abrupt and strangely fast. Zhao Haiyun couldn't dodge in time and was immediately sent flying. Chu Li frowned and waved his hand again. He saw that the flying blades bounced off Zhao Haiyun's body. It was obvious that Zhao Haiyun was wearing a treasured garment that could block the flying blades. Treasured garments were rare in the world. Usually, only the four major sects would have treasured garments. It was no wonder that Zhao Haiyun was able to escape from everyone's pursuit. It also showed that his identity was not ordinary. Zhao Haiyun was sent flying because the flying blades were too powerful. Zhao Haiyun could not block them and could only fly away. TSS 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 TSS. Chu Li waved his hand twice. Zhao Haiyun, who was in the air, pushed his palms to block but could not block the light blade. The light blade pierced through his palms and hit his shoulder. The flying blade hit Zhao Haiyun's shoulder and was bounced back. The other 2 flying blades were aimed at Zhao Haiyun's throat. Ugh! Zhao Haiyun's body trembled. He only managed to dodge one flying blade but failed to dodge the other one. The flying blade pierced through his throat without any resistance. Blood spurted out and it hit the wall behind him. Everyone was shocked. It seemed like a long time had passed, but it only took 2 to 3 breaths. When everyone realized what had happened, they could not help but scream. "Junior brother Zhao!" A thunderous shout was heard. 2 middle-aged men in blue robes were on the 3rd floor. When they saw what had happened, their expressions changed and they shouted anxiously. "Junior brother Zhao!" They shouted again and flew over. One went to catch Zhao Haiyun in the air, while the other rushed toward Chu Li and Li Ruolin. Chu Li frowned. He waved his left hand twice, one toward Zhao Haiyun and the other toward the middle-aged man. Both of his hands were condensed energy blades made of inner energy. They were extremely fast and powerful. Zhao Haiyun's throat was already hit, so it was impossible for him to dodge. The middle-aged man caught him, and the long sword at his waist turned into a flash of light. It was like a light shield in front of him and Zhao Haiyun. Ding! The long sword was deflected and the other blade hit Zhao Haiyun's chest. The flying dagger was blocked by the treasured clothing on his chest, but the 2 of them were pushed back by a tyrannical force. They floated 10 meters in the air, and almost crashed into the wall. The other middle-aged man waved his longsword in front of him, and charged toward Chu Li and Li Ruolin. When the energy blade collided with the longsword was instantly sent flying, while the other energy blade hit his right shoulder. Blood splattered everywhere and he lost the strength to fight back. Li Ruolin shouted in a low voice, "Let's go!" After saying that, he pulled Chu Li's sleeve and shot out of the window. After Chu Li shot out of the window, he helplessly said, "Senior sister, we shouldn't have left. They are Zhao Haiyun's fellow disciples. If they don't leave now, they won't be able to. There will be more and more people." Li Ruolin scoffed and said, "Zhao Haiyun is indeed from the Qiu dynasty, and he's a disciple of a famous sect. No matter how strong we are, we won't be able to defeat an entire sect." The 2 of them shot through the air and landed in a room. A long whistle came from the front, following which 4 blue-robed middle-aged men floated over and faced the 2 of them. They brandished their swords and rushed over. It was obvious that they recognized the 2 of them. Chu Li shook his head and sighed. "You're amazing indeed. You've caught up so quickly." "That's strange." Li Ruolin frowned. She was curious as to how they knew it was them. Moreover, it was obvious that the 4 of them did not fight with the 2 of them earlier. They only sent out a signal. How did they know it was them? Chu Li seemed to have seen through Li Ruolin's doubts. He scoffed and said, "We're the only ones who are running for our lives. Naturally, they'll know it's us." "Seriously?" Li Ruolin scoffed and shook her head. The 4 blue-robed middle-aged men had already approached them. They waved their swords to form a sword net that enveloped the 2 of them like sparrows in a cage. Chu Li waved his hand and 4 energy blades shot out. Ding, 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 ding. The 4 swords flew out at the same time. Chu Li held Li Ruolin in his arms. The 2 of them swept past the 4 men and floated away. Half of their bodies were numb. They watched as the 4 men floated past them without moving. They knew that they would not be able to survive if they attacked. Li Ruolin glanced at the 4 men with her charming eyes and said, "If you come after us again, don't blame us for being merciless." The 4 men's faces darkened. They stared at them as they gradually disappeared. "What a powerful light blade!" One of the middle-aged men said, "Looks like the information was right. It's indeed a disciple of the Holy Church of Light. Moreover, the light blade is very powerful. We have to tell our senior and junior brothers to be careful. It's best not to fight them head-on." Another middle-aged man scoffed. "The guy who gave us the information is not easy to deal with." The 3rd middle-aged man said, "He's such a powerful person. Even if we kill him, how many of our fellow disciples will die?" It's not worth it. He's here to kill junior brother Zhao Haiyun. How can we just stand by and watch? I heard that junior brother Zhao Haiyun has caused a ruckus in the Li dynasty. He's gone too far. No matter what, we can't let the Holy Church of Light do as they please in the Qiu dynasty. Sigh, all right then. We can only continue to chase after him. Let's go. The four of them returned to normal. They picked up their swords and chased after Chu Li and Li Ruolin at a slow pace. Chapter 3693. Their thoughts and inner struggles were reflected in Chu Li's mind. He frowned and asked, "Senior sister, who else knows about us coming to the Qiu dynasty? Apart from the saint, there shouldn't be anyone else, right?" Li Ruolin asked. "What about altar leader Mo? Altar leader Mo might know too." Li Ruolin pondered. "When the saint was talking to me, altar leader Mo was outside the basilica. He might have heard us. What happened? Someone leaked the news that we're coming to the Qiu dynasty. These people must have gotten the news." Chu Li frowned. "That's troublesome. They're fully prepared and even know about our background. Altar leader Mo? Li Ruolin frowned and her face darkened. "Would he dare to do such a thing? Why wouldn't he?" Chu Li scoffed. "We can't find any evidence. Are we supposed to capture two people from the Qiu dynasty? Even if we do, someone has to believe what they said." "You'll know once you ask them, Saint," Li Ruolin replied. Chu Li shook his head. "We can't trouble the saint with everything." Li Ruolin nodded. The saint was busy and had too many things to worry about. If Chu Li bothered the saint with every little thing, he would be able to solve it, but it would show his incompetence and he would not be able to advance further. She sighed. "Looks like we'll have to change our route." "Let's try and see how far we can go," Chu Li said. "I have a keen sense of danger. I'll lead the way." "All right." Li Ruolin nodded. She looked calm and her eyes flickered. It was impossible for them to escape from Haitsong Mountain's siege. After all, they were in the Qiu dynasty. Although Haitsong Mountain was not as powerful as the Reincarnation Temple, it was not an ordinary small sect. Only the saint could escape unscathed if they went all out. Priest had a chance too, but she and Zhao Dai had no chance. This time, she was going to die in a foreign land. Fortunately, she would not become a wandering ghost because she had Zhao Dai with her. Thinking of this, she suddenly felt that the solemn-looking Zhao Dai was not that ugly after all. Instead, he had a unique charm. She felt an inexplicable sense of security and peace of mind when she was by his side. He had completely grown into a towering tree that could shelter her from the wind and rain. She had witnessed with her own eyes how he had transformed from a country boy into the expert he was now. Although she did not fall for him even when he boldly expressed his love for her because he was ugly, she had always felt that he was kind and trustworthy. Therefore, when she came to the Qiu dynasty to hunt them down, she immediately thought of asking him for help. Who would have thought that he would be harmed this time? An inexplicable sense of guilt lingered in her heart, and she could not get rid of it. "Junior brother Zhao, I've implicated you," she suddenly said. Chu Li turned to look at her and smiled. "Do you think we're dead for sure?" Sigh. Li Ruolin gently shook her head. Chu Li said, "Don't worry. As long as you listen to me, we won't die. We can go back." "You don't have to comfort me," Li Ruolin replied. "I'm not afraid of death. Haitsong Mountain's ability isn't as simple as you think. Moreover, this is the Qiu dynasty. Even their sect master can attack." Chu Li smiled. "Senior sister, you're not afraid of death. I'm afraid of death, so I won't die." "All right." Li Ruolin nodded. Chu Li shook his head and laughed when he saw how she was trying to comfort him. Chu Li had the omniscient mirror, so he could see everything within a 6-mile radius. He could bring Li Ruolin along to avoid the Haitsong Mountain disciples in advance. However, the Haitsong Mountain disciples had come out in full force this time. They might have already killed Zhao Haiyun, which had completely angered them. They had set up an ambush in advance, and were just waiting for the two of them to come in. The path that they had to pass through was blocked. Even if there was an ambush, they could only force their way through. There was no other way. There was a huge canyon on the way to the Li dynasty. Both sides of the canyon were cliffs that looked like they had been cut by a knife. They were more than 200 meters tall and looked like a natural moat. There were only two ways to get there. One was to go from the bottom of the canyon, and the other was to go from the cliff on the side. However, no matter if they went from the bottom of the canyon or climbed up the cliff, they would not be able to hide from the Haitsong Mountain disciples. Were there people at the top of the cliff? If they looked, they could see if there were people at the bottom of the canyon and the cliff. Chu took a look at their numbers. There were only 4 of them, but all of them were masters. The 2 of them went into the forest to observe. The sun had already set and the forest was dyed red. The 2 of them stood between the branches and looked at the 4 middle-aged men in blue robes who were standing proudly on the cliff. They shook their heads. Li Ruolin frowned. "Looks like we can only force our way through," Chu said. "These 4 guys are tough. Once there's any movement, masters will quickly come over." "How about tonight?" Li Ruolin asked. Chu smiled and nodded. "Let's go at night then." The 2 of them retreated and went deep into the dense forest so that the Haitsong Mountain disciples on the cliff would not notice them. Li Ruolin sat down on a rock and opened her bag to take out some dry food. Chu also moved a rock and sat opposite her. Li Ruolin passed the dry food to him. "If we can get through this and cross the bridge in front, we'll be able to reach the Li dynasty's territory. We'll be able to escape from being hunted down." Not far from the canyon, there was a huge river that was 2 miles wide. They had to take a boat to cross it. No matter how good their light body technique was, it was impossible for them to cross it. Chu nodded. "Don't worry, senior sister. We can get back." Li Ruolin smiled. "I didn't have any confidence before, but it's different now. Why do you have such a sharp instinct?" Chu frowned and thought about it. In the end, he shook his head helplessly. "I don't know how I got it. Is it the divine light body or Mahavairokkana's immobility scripture? I can't figure it out." "The variety of martial arts you have is quite scary," Li Ruolin said. "If other people had these martial arts, they would not dare to cultivate them because they would go crazy. The divine light scripture and Mahavairokkana's immobility scripture were completely different, but he could merge them together. The earth matrix and reincarnation scripture was even more different, but he could still merge them. Putting everything else aside, he was already a genius to be able to cultivate all 3 at the same time." Chu smiled. "Each has its own benefit. Senior sister, why did you receive this mission?" "Among the patrols, I'm the only one who has nothing to do," Li Ruolin said helplessly. "They're busy training new people. I need to take a break, and there are no new people to train. That's why I'm the only one who can do this. I should have done it myself and not dragged you into this." Chu said, "Senior sister, there's nothing to see. But Haitsong Mountain really shouldn't be underestimated." Although he did not fight with the disciples of Haitsong Mountain, he could see through their profound cultivation level. They were indeed not ordinary masters. "Their swordsmanship is top-notch," Li Ruolin said. "It's even stronger than our divine light sword." Chu raised his eyebrows. Li Ruolin said, "The strongest martial art of our divine light fist is the divine light scripture. The divine light sword isn't the best." Chu nodded slowly. His expression suddenly changed and he quickly raised his index finger. Li Ruolin's charming eyes were filled with doubt. Chu shook his head. Through the omniscient mirror, he saw an old man gliding up the precipice like a golden eagle. He did not even need to take a breath or use his feet as a foothold. His light body technique left Chu speechless, and the depth of his cultivation level made him wary. This was a peerless master. Chapter 3694. Chu Li and Li Ruolin held their breaths and remained motionless. The old man's gaze was so intense that it felt like cold water had been poured on them. They dared not move an inch. Li Ruolin wanted to look up, but Chu Li pulled her sleeve and stopped her when he noticed her intention. He placed his right palm in front of her eyes to block her gaze. The old man's abilities were shocking. If his gaze landed on her, it might even trigger his senses and attract his attention. Li Ruolin was shocked. She knew that she had been careless. She nodded and closed her eyes to indicate that she understood. She knew the method too. The thin elder glanced at the four of them and shook his head. The middle-aged man asked, "Masters Junior Liu, are we wrong? You're following Haitsong Mountain's thinking," the thin elder said. "What if it's the reincarnation temple? Would the monks from the reincarnation temple do what you're thinking if they're surrounded?" The four people from the reincarnation temple frowned. The thin elder scoffed. "Lilgua, what do you think the monks from the reincarnation temple would do? They're so arrogant." The middle-aged man scoffed and sneered. "They'd face the challenge head-on and never retreat. They'd charge in. If the monks from the reincarnation temple would do that, what about the disciples from the Holy Church of Light?" The thin elder shook his head. "These top sects have their own unique ways of doing things. However, they have one thing in common, which is their arrogance. The monks from the reincarnation temple are monks, so it's hard to avoid it. How can the Holy Church of Light be different?" "Understood." The four of them nodded. The thin elder scoffed. "The two disciples from the Holy Church of Light will charge in even if they know that we'll set up an ambush. They won't hide in the south. That's why they'll charge in tonight or tomorrow night. Stay alert and don't make any mistakes." "Yes." The four of them fist saluted. The thin elder said, "This person's light blade is extremely overbearing." He turned Zhao Haiyun's head into mush. He couldn't be saved even after consuming a spirit pill. If the two of them escape, the people from Haitsong Mountain will be humiliated. As disciples of Haitsong Mountain, don't even think about raising your head in the Qiu dynasty's martial arts world. Yes, the spirits of the four were roused, and killing intent flashed in their eyes. He had to kill these two fellows from the Holy Church of Light to avenge junior brother Zhao. At the same time, he had to let everyone know that no matter which sect they were from, even if they were the number one sect in the Li dynasty, only death awaited them for killing a disciple of Haitsong Mountain. The four of them leaped down and landed at the bottom of the canyon like four eagles circling in the air. Very quickly they started a few bonfires. The blazing flames illuminated the small path at the bottom of the canyon. Another dozen or so torches were inserted into the mountain walls. There was almost no place at the entrance of the canyon that could not be illuminated by the fire. Standing on the precipice, they could see everything clearly. It was impossible to hide in the shadows and avoid their eyes. Chu Li frowned. Through the omniscient mirror, he could see that there were 12 other masters hiding in the canyon. Their cultivation levels were similar to the four middle-aged men, and each of them was almost at the same level as Li Ruolin. If they surrounded him, he could escape, but Li Ruolin might not be able to. In this way, there was no way he could sneak past without anyone noticing. The thin elder suddenly leaped down and pounced toward the forest where Chu Li and Li Ruolin were hiding. He raised his voice and yelled, "Where are you hiding?" Li Ruolin did not move and looked at Chu Li. She had already learned her lesson. Everything depended on Zhao Dai. Zhao Dai was a genius, not only in cultivation, but also in battle. He was like a natural-born general, always able to find the best way to deal with a situation. In just a few months of experience, he had become more powerful than Li Ruolin, who had trained for more than 10 years. This was talent that could not be judged by common sense. Chu Li reached out and pressed the back of Li Ruolin's head. Then, He lay down under the tree roots with her, and did not move an inch. It was as if they had turned into a rock beside them. Both of them were dressed in black. Even if the moonlight was bright, it could not reach the bottom of the tree. Even if they could see through the darkness and see through the night like it was daytime, they could not distinguish them from the trees, grass, and rocks around them. Boom! They hit a tree 20 feet away from them. Suddenly, the tree branches creaked and fell slowly, dodging them. The elder's eyes swept past them like lightning. Lirulan's heart almost jumped out of her chest. She was extremely nervous. However, her heartbeat was extremely slow. She was using a concealing skill. Her heartbeat was even slower than a hibernating animal. After a long time, it would only jump slightly. Compared to the chirping of the insects around them, it was not worth mentioning. Chuli used the life and death scripture and became one with the trees around him. His cold, lightning-like gaze swept over again. In the end, he didn't stop. He floated up and landed on the precipice. Masters Junior Lu, did you really see them? No. The thin elder shook his head. It's just a feeling. They're in that forest. He pointed at the forest where Chuli was. His eyes were bright and his tone was firm. That's easy. The middle-aged man who spoke earlier said. It's such a big forest. The four of us will be like a net. There's nowhere to run. That's good too, the thin elder said. The light blade is hard to defend against. You must be careful. Understood. The four middle-aged men said in a deep voice. When they thought about Zhao Haiyun's death, their hair stood on end and their bodies tensed up. Zhao Haiyun's cultivation level was not inferior to theirs since he was killed by the light blade even though he was wearing treasured clothing. However, they had Masters Junior Lu above them. They were not afraid of them. Moreover, they might not dare to reveal themselves. Otherwise, they would definitely die. Chapter 3695. Men. The thin old man raised his voice and shouted. Someone in the canyon said, Masters Junior Lu? All of you come here. The thin elder yelled. 12 people flew up from the canyon and stepped on the precipice as if they were walking on flat ground. They arrived in front of the thin elder. The thin elder pointed at the 4 people who were about to step into the forest and yelled, Lil Gua, stop. The 4 of them stopped. The thin elder said, split into groups of 3. 8 of you will go down and help Lil Gua and the others. The other 4 will stay here. There's no need to wait in the canyon. These 2 are in the forest. From what he knew, the Holy Church of Light disciple could shoot flying blades with both hands. He would not be able to deal with them in a group of 3 as he would expose himself if he attacked. Yes. The 2 groups of people fist saluted. 8 middle-aged men then floated down and met up with Lil Gua and the others. They entered the forest in groups of 3. The other 4 stood beside the thin elder. Masters Junior Lu is really in there? Not far from the mark. These 2 fellows sure have guts. They really dared to barge in. The Holy Church of Light disciple has no lack of courage. The light blade is really scary. We have to be careful. Although we have a lot of people, we don't want to fail miserably. Pfft, Junior Brother Meng, can't you say something auspicious? I'm just worried that we'll be careless. Shut up. The thin elder said. The 4 people's discussion came to an abrupt end. Look down. The thin elder said, get ready to attack. Yes. The 4 of them nodded respectfully. Lirulan looked at Chuli. Chuli pointed at Lirulan, then at the canyon, then at himself and the thin elder. Lirulan frowned and shook her head. She understood what Chuli meant. He wanted her to go first so he could deal with the thin elder. Chuli lowered his voice. I can deal with that old man. You go first and wait for me. No. Lirulan shook her head. Let's go together. Chuli frowned at her. Lirulan looked at him firmly with her big charming eyes. Chuli shook his head helplessly and said, I'll go first. You stay here and ambush me. All right. Li Ruolin smiled. The light blade was powerful and was best at sneak attack. Chu Li glided to the right. After drifting 100 meters away, he was not in a hurry to make his move. Instead, he quickly practiced the 36 energy-nurturing forms in the open space of the forest, trying to store as much knife chi as he could into his dantian. A trio slowly approached him and saw him. Who is it? The three of them cried out in alarm. Chu Li waved his hands twice in an instant. Chi-chi. With a low whistling sound, 4 energy blades shot towards the 3 middle-aged men. As the whistling sound rang out, the 3 of them immediately moved to the side. Their hearts were stretched taut as they kept their guard up against the light blade. They knew that the light blade had arrived the moment the whistling sound was heard. Unfortunately, the light blade was too fast. It was too late for the 3 of them to dodge when they saw his movements. 3 energy blades pierced through their palms and into their abdomens. Ah! The 3 of them clutched their abdomens and flew out unwillingly. Bang, bang, bang! The 3 of them landed heavily on the ground. The violent blade chi drilled into their dantian and wreaked havoc, directly injuring their dantian. Then, their inner force leaked out like a flood. In the blink of an eye, all their cultivation was gone. Over there! The other 9 men rushed over. Get out of my way! A thunderous roar came from the sky. The thin elder dove towards Chu Li like a golden eagle. Chu Li narrowed his eyes and sneered as he swung his right hand. An energy blade instantly shot towards the thin elder. The thin elder swung his long sword in the air. Ding! The long sword trembled and dispersed the energy blade. His expression changed slightly. A strand of blade energy drilled into the sword and into his arm. It was extremely sharp, as if a needle had been pricked into his body. It quickly traveled through his meridians and caused discomfort in his meridians wherever it passed. Chi! Chu Li's right hand shot out another blade. Ding! The thin elder's body trembled again, and he had already landed on the ground. Chu Li stood firmly on the same spot without taking a step back. Both of his hands kept waving. Each blade contained the single slice of the universe's blade energy, which was unusually condensed. The thin elder's expression was gloomy as he kept waving his sword. The force of the blade energy made it impossible for him to move forward. It was already his limit to not retreat. He felt that he had underestimated the young man. He initially thought that no matter how powerful the young man was, he would not be able to block his attack. No matter how powerful the light blade was, it was not worth mentioning in front of a powerful cultivation level. He did not expect the light blade's blade energy to be so difficult to deal with. It was also extremely fast. It was impossible to dodge it and he could only block it. What was worse was that the young man's cultivation level was high. He was not as easy to deal with as he thought. Chu Li shot out more than 10 blades in one go. The single slice of the universe's blade energy had all seeped into his meridians and rampaged around. Chu Li stood where he was. Does Haitsong Mountain really want to die? How arrogant! The thin elder shouted. He channeled his inner energy and grinded the single slice of the universe's blade energy like a millstone. Chu Li sighed. I don't want to kill innocent people. It's a piece of cake to kill these people. The thin elder sneered. Even if you kill them all, you won't be able to escape Haitsong Mountain's pursuit. Chu Li said, You won't give up until you see your coffin. He swung his right hand. Ding! The thin elder swung his sword and deflected a bright flying blade. However, his right hand was numb. The blade contained a shocking amount of energy. It was different from the previous blade energy. His face darkened. He knew that the others would not be able to withstand this blade. The 9 middle-aged men had surrounded him. Masters Junior Liu, let's do it! Someone shouted. All of you, step back! The thin elder shouted. Masters Junior Liu. They widened their eyes in confusion. It was 9 against 1. Why did he have to fight personally? It was such a great advantage. Step back! The thin elder shouted. Don't come any closer. The 9 men were confused, but did not dare to disobey. They slowly retreated. Get out of the forest! The thin elder scoffed. The 9 men retreated out of the forest helplessly. They glided up the cliff to see what was going on. Chuli reached his right hand out of his sleeve and gestured, revealing a flying blade that gleamed coldly at his fingertips. That's a wise move. Who are you? The thin elder kept channeling his inner energy to grind away the single slice of the universe's blade energy. He wanted to talk to stall for time. Chuli said, I'm Zhao Dave, a disciple of the Holy Church of Light. I've never heard of him. The thin elder said. I didn't expect him to be so powerful. I'd like to ask the Haizong Mountain. Zhao Haiyun has committed all sorts of crimes in the Li dynasty, Chuli said. Is this the character of the Haizong Mountain's disciples? The disciples of the Haizong Mountain will be dealt with according to the sect rules. The thin elder scoffed. It's not up to the Holy Church of Light to criticize us. Everyone has the right to punish such an evil thief. Chuli said coldly. The light blade's blade energy is pure enough, right? When can you dispel it? As expected of the light blade. The thin elder scoffed. If that's the case, let's have a showdown. Chuli glided backward. Don't blame me for being merciless if you continue to chase me. If you do, I won't just cripple your martial arts, I'll kill you. The thin elder stared at him. He maintained a distance of more than 10 meters and followed closely behind. Chuli ignored him and met up with Li Ruolin. They held hands and walked up the cliff as if they were walking on flat ground. Chapter 3696. P.S. Update complete. Chuli glided away with Li Ruolin beside him. Her gown fluttered in the wind while the thin elder and 9 middle-aged men followed behind them. The rest of them were taking care of the 3 injured men. Their inner energy was crippled, so they would not be able to fight back if someone took the opportunity to attack them. They're waiting for more people to surround us, right? Li Ruolin asked. Chuli nodded. They haven't given up yet. Should we attack now? Li Ruolin frowned. We'll be at a disadvantage when they arrive later. Chuli scoffed. I'd like to see how brave they are. Let's go. All right, I'll listen to you, Li Ruolin said. She trusted Chuli so much that she did not even bother to use her brain. She would just listen to him. Chuli and Li Ruolin glided away and soon passed through the canyon to the other side. Chuli suddenly stopped and turned around to fist salute the thin elder. There's no need to send us off. Let's bid farewell here. Zhao Days. The thin elder scoffed. The disciples of Haizong Mountain can't be killed so easily. Chuli frowned. What are you going to do? Do you really want to attack? I'll kill them all first. If you kill them, Haizong Mountain will avenge them in the Li dynasty. The thin elder said coldly. Chuli said, I'll give it a try. I've been holding back, because I don't want to be enemies with Haizong Mountain. I had no choice but to kill Zhao Dai and Zhao Haiyun must die. Otherwise, more than 100 innocent people from the Li dynasty will die with everlasting regret. However, the other disciples of Haizong Mountain have nothing to do with me, so I didn't kill them even if you wanted to. The thin elder sneered. However, he was moved. Zhao Dai was still able to distinguish between kindness and hatred. He would not kill unless he had no other choice. It seemed like he was a kind-hearted person. Chuli said, but if you insist on killing us, I can only fight back. We'll fight to the death and see who dies first. I have to give you an explanation for killing Zhao Haiyun. The thin elder said. Are you going to kill Haizong Mountain disciples for nothing? Explanation? Chuli scoffed and sneered. Speaking of an explanation, the Holy Church of Light still needs an explanation from the Haizong Mountain. Why did the disciples of the Haizong Mountain come to the Li dynasty to harm the people. We want to know why he went to Dali to commit evil." The thin old man shook his head and said, "But he's already dead. We don't know either, so we can't give you an explanation." "Don't tell me that Haitsong Mountain's disciples are not responsible for what they've done," Chu Li said coldly. "We can't just let him do as he pleases and just kill him in the end, and then push away our responsibility, can we?" "Then what do you want?" "Compensate the victims," Chu Li said in a low voice. He founded the sky-traversing camp and killed more than 100 innocent people. Some of them had their entire families wiped out, and some of them still have relatives alive. Haitsong Mountain should compensate those who are still alive. "How many?" The thin elder snorted. Chu Li said, "At least 1,000 taels of silver." "Are you able to find out who exactly was killed?" "Of course." "All right, if it's true, compensation isn't a big deal." The thin elder said, "This is Haitsong Mountain's responsibility, but you have to give us an explanation for entering the Qiu dynasty and killing people from Haitsong Mountain. What do you think?" Chu Li scoffed. "Cripple your martial arts." The thin elder said, "I'll spare your lives." Chu Li chuckled. "How dare you guys?" The thin elder said, "If you don't do it yourself, we'll do it for you. That depends on how capable you are." Chu Li sneered. "Don't blame me for being merciless if you make a move. I'd like to see how capable you are." The thin elder scoffed and pounced at him, his sword flashing like lightning. Swoosh, swoosh. 2 blade energies were shot at him. The thin elder waved his sword to disperse the blade energies, and his body stopped moving. Chu Li's strength had increased tremendously, and the power contained in the blade energies had increased tremendously. The thin elder's strength was no match for his, and his forward momentum slowed down. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Chu Li kept waving his hands, and 4 blade energies were shot out again. The thin elder wielded his sword at lightning speed to protect himself, but he kept retreating. He only managed to catch his breath after taking 4 steps back, and his face darkened. Chu Li scoffed. "Again?" The thin elder was in despair. Zhao Dai's light blade was amazing, and he could not get close to him with the light blade in his hand. As for Lil Guo and the rest, they could not attack him, or their lives would be in danger. Chu Li said, "I won't hold back if you follow me again." He then glided away with Li Ruolin. The 9 middle-aged men saw that the thin elder did not move, and they stared at Chu Li and Li Ruolin as they walked away. They asked anxiously, "Masters Junior Lu, aren't we going after them?" The thin elder turned to look at them and said, "Go after them? You dare? There are 9 of us, I don't believe we can't defeat the 2 of them." Lil Guo, who spoke earlier, said, "Masters Junior Lu, keep him occupied and we'll deal with that woman. Once we subdue her, I don't believe he can escape." "Ignorant." The thin elder scoffed. "Masters Junior Lu," another middle-aged man said, "is Zhao Dai really that powerful? I'm no match for him, what do you think?" The thin elder scoffed. "Masters Junior Lu, you're not much weaker than him, right?" "Much weaker. He's so young, how long can he have been practicing martial arts? His light blade's level is extremely high. Once he's determined to kill, I can protect myself, but all of you will die here." The thin elder scoffed. "Send a message to Elder Sun and the others by the river, and ask them to retreat. Masters Junior Lu, why don't we meet up with Masters Junior Sun and the others, and attack together?" Lil Guo suggested. The thin old man looked at him from head to toe. Lil Guo was a little nervous under his gaze, and he touched his face. "Humph." The thin elder shook his head. "You're asking for death. Masters Junior Lu, is Zhao Dai that scary? Scary? You can't even take a blade, and you still dare to approach him? You really don't know what death means. You're exaggerating, right? He was only sneaking an attack earlier. He doesn't need to sneak an attack, and you won't be able to take a blade. So, just send a signal and ask Elder Sun and the others to retreat. Yes. Lil Gua nodded helplessly. They turned around and returned to the canyon. When they arrived at the top of the cliff, they sent a signal. Suddenly, a bright long sword flashed in the sky, and it did not dissipate like a flash of lightning. Chu Li turned to look at it. Li Ruolan looked over too. Did they send a message to the people in front? Chu Li smiled. Haitsong Mountain is quite tactful. It should be a signal to retreat. Coercion and temptation. Looks like you've convinced them. Now you can retreat without any bloodshed. Li Ruolan smiled. She had thought that Chu Li's words were useless, and it seemed like he was showing weakness. She did not expect it to be so effective. The elder did not chase after them, and it was obvious that he was not going to chase after them anymore. Chapter 3697. Both of them floated until the moon was high up in the sky. They stopped to rest for a while before continuing their journey. Early in the morning, both of them arrived in front of a mighty river. The waves were vast and the river was flowing at a steady pace. It was like a vast lake with sparkling waves and dense water vapor. As far as the eye could see, the opposite riverbank was hidden in the morning mist, and it was hard to see it clearly. No matter how good their light body technique was, it was impossible for them to cross the river. They could only look for a boat. Chu Li frowned as he scanned his surroundings and looked upstream. What's wrong? Li Ruolan noticed his strange expression and quickly asked, could it be that the people from Haitsong Mountain still haven't given up? Chu Li nodded slowly. Looks like I've underestimated them. They still want to kill us? Li Ruolan frowned. She looked in the direction Chu Li was looking at, but there was nothing. It was a vast expanse of whiteness, and there was no sign of anyone. Chu Li said, they're underwater. Then we can't take a boat. Li Ruolan frowned. I'm not good at swimming and neither are you, right? Chu Li shook his head. It's fine. They can't rely on us. Let's go. There's a boat coming from that direction. We'll take this boat. While they were talking, a small boat floated in the distance at an extremely fast speed. The boatman was a young man with a strong body. His arms were bare and his muscles were defined as if they were made of bronze. The young man had an ordinary appearance and his movements were relaxed. With a light sway, the boat flew like a fish swimming in the water. After a while, the boat was close to them. The young boatman stopped. Are you two going to cross the river? Thank you for taking us across the river, Chu Li said. Li Ruolan frowned as she stared at the young boatman. She could tell that he had perfected innate mastery in martial arts. Chu Li said, let's go, senior sister. This person. Li Ruolan turned to look at Chu Li. Chu Li smiled. It's fine. All right. Li Ruolan could tell from his expression that he had noticed something was wrong with the boatman. The two of them floated onto the boat and it did not sway at all. The young boatman rowed and the boat quickly left the shore towards the center of the river. You're a disciple of Haitsong Mountain, right? Chu Li sat at the bow of the boat and asked lazily, is Haitsong Mountain still going to hunt us down? Sir, what are you talking about? The young boatman was startled and looked at him in confusion. Chu Li shook his head. Let's not beat around the bush. If Haitsong Mountain continues to pester us, don't blame me for being rude. I really don't understand what you're saying. The young boatman shook his head and paddled even faster. In just a short while, they were already more than 100 meters away from the shore. At this distance, he could still use his qin gong to rush back, so he kept increasing his speed. He wanted to get them to the center of the river before they found out. Chu Li sighed and shook his head. Stubborn. He closed his eyes and said no more. He could see the killing intent in the boatman's heart. He had been restraining himself from killing as he didn't want to create too deep of an enmity. However, Haitsong Mountain didn't think the same way. He killed Zhao Haiyun, so they wanted to kill him. The young boatman saw that he no longer asked and felt anxious. It seemed that he had already seen through his identity, but he was not afraid. Could it be that he was good at swimming? The boat quickly reached the middle of the river, and the young boatman suddenly turned over and dived into the water. Chu waved his hand. Chi! With a soft whistle, the young boatman's throat was cut. After falling into the river, his face quickly turned red. Chu killed him and no longer held back. He then waved his hand and shot out a few energy blades. Chi 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 chi. The energy blades shot into the river. Chu Li's expression changed slightly. After the energy blades entered the water, their speed was greatly reduced. Some of them hit the people in the river, but some missed. There were 4 middle-aged men dressed in black robes in the river. They swam over like fishes and approached the boat. Chi 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 chi. Chu Li shot out another 4 energy blades. The resistance of the water was surprisingly strong. It was not as weak as he imagined. After the sharp energy blades entered the water, they immediately became obedient. There was no killing intent at all, and they were easily blocked. He cursed in his heart and said, "Senior sister, be careful." He knew that the resistance of the water was strong. Even if a bullet was shot into the water, it would not go far. However, he thought that since he was shooting invisible energy blades, the resistance would be much smaller. The energy blades were extremely thin, and their power would not be reduced too much in the water, so he did not pay much attention. However, once the speed of the energy blades was too fast, the resistance of the water would increase. It was not weak because the blades were thin. In this way, the speed of the energy blades would be greatly reduced, and their power would be greatly reduced. Li Ruolin was surprised. Chu Li shook his head. These people are trying to sink the boat. He used his inner energy to move the boat like an arrow that was released from a bow. It was much faster than the previous boat. One of the middle-aged men was injured, but the energy of the energy blades had been greatly reduced, so his injury was not serious. The other 3 middle-aged men were like fishes. They chased after the boat faster than the speed of the boat, like wolves chasing after antelope. They were getting closer and closer, and finally reached the bottom of the boat. Bang 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 bang. Soon, a few big holes appeared at the bottom of the boat, and the water gushed in. Chu Li cursed. The long sword at his waist turned into a cold light, and instantly stabbed one of the men in the river. However, the other 2 dodged to the side, so he could not stab them. Bang! The boat was instantly broken into pieces. Li Ruolin leaped up and flew into the air. She had almost drowned when she was young, so she had a phobia of water. Even if a grandmaster could stop breathing for a few minutes and be fine after falling into the water, she still did not dare to fall into the water. TSS 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 TSS. Several hidden weapons were shot into the air from the water. Ding 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 ding. Li Ruolin swung her sword to block the hidden weapons, but her movements were sluggish. Chu Li saw that the situation was not good, so he leaped up and blocked her in the air. He swung his long sword to block all the hidden weapons. Li Ruolin let out a long sigh of relief. Chu Li could see that she was afraid of the water. He held her slender waist, and they landed on a wooden plank. Then, he urged the plank to shoot out like a boat. Bang! A muffled sound was heard, and 2 people shot out of the water. The 2 elders were dressed in black leather clothing, revealing only a pair of eyes. They pounced at Chu Li and Li Ruolin like tigers. Even with only a pair of eyes, Chu Li could recognize that one of them was the thin elder from before, and the other was a fat and strong elder. TSS TSS TSS. Chu Li sheathed his sword, and 2 white lights shot out from his right hand. Ding ding. The flying blades landed on the black leather clothing, but they were immediately deflected. The 2 of them secretly spat out a mouthful of blood. Even though they were injured by Chu Li's strength, they did not retreat. Instead, they used the remaining force to rush in front of Chu Li and stabbed their swords at Li Ruolin like lightning. Li Ruolan swung her sword to meet the attack. Ding ding! Li Ruolan's long sword flew out, and the light from the sword pierced her lower abdomen like lightning. Chu Li quickly drew his sword and waved it to block the light, but he suddenly trembled. The strange power contained in the long sword made his body stiffen. He could not neutralize it for a while, and the thin elder stabbed his lower abdomen. His dantian was instantly injured, and the cultivation of the divine light technique leaked out like a broken dam. The essence, spirit of his body leaked out. Junior brother Zhao! Li Ruolan screamed. Chu Li swung his sword at the thin elder with all his might, but he did not have a tenth of his inner energy left. His speed slowed down, and the thin elder easily dodged his attack. Li Ruolan shouted and activated the secret technique of divine light. A ball of flame ignited on her body, and her essence began to burn. She snatched Chu Li's long sword, and the light from the sword shrouded the two elders. Chapter 3698. Senior sister, let's go, Chu Li said. His inner energy had been completely depleted. His dantian was empty, and he felt weak all over. He did not expect the floating silkworm treasured clothing to be unable to block the thin elder's sword. He was unlucky today. Li Ruolan scanned the surface of the water with her bright eyes. She controlled a wooden plank and shot it out like an arrow. It formed a silver thread on the water surface and disappeared in the blink of an eye. The two elders at the bottom of the water watched as they left but did not chase after them. They only chased after them when they reached the shore. They took off their black clothing and looked excited. Now that the threat of the light blade was gone, they did not have to wear the treasured clothing anymore. Once they reached the shore, Chu Li said, "Senior sister, stop the secret technique." No. Li Ruolan shook her head. Once the secret technique is stopped, they'll chase after us. Chu Li said, "Don't worry, I'll deal with them." Li Ruolan looked down at him and shook her head. Her gaze was as cold as ice, as if there were two flames burning in her eyes. The secret light technique did not only increase her skills but also changed her temperament. She was cold and emotionless as she suppressed her emotions. She only had pure rationality to weigh the pros and cons and choose the best method. According to her calculations, it was best to activate the secret technique and enter the Li dynasty as soon as possible. After crossing this wide river, it would only take 2 hours to enter the Li dynasty. Once they entered the Li dynasty, they would not dare to chase after them anymore. Chu Li said helplessly, "Senior sister, don't forget that I have the Earth Matrix and Reincarnation Scripture. Your martial arts has been crippled," Li Ruolan said. Chu Li said impatiently, "Stop the secret technique. I have a way." Li Ruolan looked at him. Chu Li looked determined as he stared at her. Li Ruolan nodded helplessly and stopped the secret technique. The speed of the two slowed down. It was like the difference between an ox cart and a horse carriage. They arrived at the side of a forest. Chu Li said, "Senior sister, take a break. I need to heal myself." He took out a few bottles of pills and shook his head. "I didn't expect the spirit pills given by Elder Zhou to come in handy. The pills in his bottles were the best." He did not want to disturb her and began to circulate his energy to recover. The secret light technique had taken a huge toll on him even though he had only used it for a short while. The surroundings quietened down, and the birds chirped softly. 2 elderly men dressed in green robes approached them slowly. When they saw Chu Li and Li Ruolan sitting in the gazebo, they hesitated for a moment but did not move. "Junior brother Lu, this is a good opportunity. Let's do it," the stout old man said in a deep voice. The thin elder shook his head. "Senior brother Jing, something's not right. They should be fleeing in a sorry state, but they stop. It's as if they're trying to lure us over. They must be plotting something." "I say, Junior brother Lu, you're getting more and more timid." The stout old man turned around and glared at him. "One of them has lost his martial arts, and the other has just used a secret technique. What can they do? The most threatening fella has been crippled, and only that little girl is left. If we can't take her down even if we work together, then she'll be the saint of the Holy Church of Light. That's true. The thin elder frowned and nodded slowly. He still felt that something was wrong. But I still feel threatened. It's better not to get close. Let's wait and see. Let's wait a little longer. If they enter the territory of the Great Li dynasty, it won't be easy to deal with them. The stout elder shook his head and said, "Who knows if they have reinforcements?" "Then let's wait until they make a move," the thin elder said. The stout elder stared at him. The thin elder said, "Senior brother Jing, my instincts aren't wrong. They must be plotting something. My instincts are telling me not to get close. What if they've been cultivating to heal their injuries? Are we just going to wait?" The stout elder said, "It's better to go back now and give up on the chase." The thin elder frowned and thought for a while before nodding slowly. "That's the best plan. It's best to leave now. They're in danger. Junior brother Liu." The stout elder shook his head helplessly. "If he's a priest, we can just leave. No one will say anything. However, he's just a nobody. He killed our disciples. If we don't teach him a lesson, we'll be too ashamed to face others." "He's not a nobody," the thin elder scoffed. "Senior brother Jing, it's not like you haven't seen his light blade." "I've seen it, but no one else has," the stout elder said. "No matter what, I believe in my instincts," the thin elder said and turned to leave. "Junior brother Liu." The stout elder did not expect him to leave. "You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.